Okay, let's get set up here. Sound is okay. Microphone is okay. Music is not too loud, not too annoying. I'm on my own. There's nobody here. Solution 9 is, well, this part of it's always dead. Yeah. So, happy Saturday. We'll get started now in a minute. So I'm just going to do my usual warm-up, get everything set up. Yeah. How's everybody doing? NPC, Zelenka, or Zelenda. I keep saying Zelenka. I'm too used to the name Zelenka. Zegenda. Have a very good evening to you. Right. Let's see. Here to lurk and hear your thoughts. I've got a lot of thoughts. I'm going to be fair. I thought about doing this in video. I was originally, to be honest, I was going to do this in video format. However, I didn't like the fact that it was going to be irrelevant by the time announcement for 7.4 come around, more than likely. I don't like making videos like that anymore. So I decided, you know what? I'll involve everybody. Like, you all have loads of ideas as well. So we'll collaborate, we'll put it together, and we'll paint a picture of what to expect between now and 8.0 and what an 8.0 could really be. So just give me a few minutes here. So we'll warm up first. So I suppose we'll check out the lodestone because I already had it loaded here looking around. So let's check it out here and see what the story is with the lodestone. So I haven't read that new tale yet. I'm not going to do that on stream, but I think it was to do with Bakul Jaja, so I'm looking forward to reading that. There's nothing really else going on the lodestone in terms of announcements. New soundtrack. I don't recall actually reading the 7.1 notes. Doing well, Dom. Thank you very much. Can't complain. Oh yeah, the new side quests. That was right. I still have to jump into them. The new phantom webs as well. I keep seeing people posting on Discord regarding their progress in this, and I kind of feel left out now. So I think I'll probably end up doing that very soon. A new item is available in exchange for white-colored gemstones from Rabra Rooker in Yakta. Oh, there's a new item in Yaktel. Pray tell. I should already be maxed in there. So what's the item? I'll come back to Solution 9 in a minute because I need to be in Solution 9 to start the stream off. But let's just have a look at the gemstone vendor. I want to have a look. Is it this? Oh, the items related to the phantom weapons. I'm assuming it's this then. Okay. Alright, never mind. Yeah. I thought it would be something else. I don't know. Oh, that's fine. I still have loads of gemstones, so if I end up needing that, I'll end up doing that. Alright, back to Solution 9. Right, I think we're pretty... I'm pretty warmed up. I think. Although, I'm still talking a bit weird, so I think I'll just give it another couple of minutes. I'm still working on my next lore video as well. Oh, the Yan is so amazing. I love the Yan. Like, the Yan is perfect. Love is Yan. Yan is love. Look at the little bun. Look, the little tiny ass. it's like the most adorable sheep you'd ever come across. Like, I can still remember those being so adorable in FF9. Right, let's see where we are. Yeah, I have to go to the administrative sector anyway. So, right, up we go. So. There's nothing else I should do before actually getting started. I really need to sort my inventory out. My inventory is a mess. It is what it is. Have I already done my weekly? I'm fairly certain I've already done my weekly. Yes, I've already done my weekly. I can't really remember. To be fair, I've been playing No Man's Sky for the past few days as well. So I got the itch to play it after the new updates dropped out. So I did the expedition for the Corvette, or the Voyager update. And to be honest, No Man's Sky is it's perfect nowadays, because as soon as they added the Corvette, I was like, yes, No Man's Sky is now perfect. I always wanted a mobile base, and the Corvettes and the build system is really good. And they're only going to expand upon it. But enough about No Man's Sky. This is an FF14 stream. So, right. So, as I said, the purpose of this stream today, or tonight rather, is to speculate regarding the upcoming patches of 7.4, 7.5, and the story, setting, and everything else related to 8.0 from a lore perspective. So everything to do with the story for 8.0 and the patches that are leading up to it, because 7.4 and 7.5 are going to be setting up, well, we're going to be essentially leaving this scene behind, and it's going to be setting up the next chapter essentially. So the proper metaphor for it is the book is essentially opening on a new chapter, and we're reading the prologue in 7.4, 7.5, and chapter 1 begins in 8.0. Now, so what's a good way to start this? So yeah, let's start this with a recap of what we got in 7.3 from a perspective of what's to come. So 7.3 ended with the cutscene that we all know and remember. So let me pull it up again, because I was actually only watching it there today. So where is it? Where is it? Calyx, where are you? There you are, Calyx. Hello, Calyx. Okay. So we all remember this cutscene. So Calyx survived his encounter with us. He ended up being, yep, is what it is. He's like, yeah, he's pretty emotional now for an Endless, although Endless are emotional anyway. So, and of course the main thing was the Ascian, who came into view as well. So yeah, this is a good place to start, and I already have something to explain this as well. So we know the story coming up is gonna have something to do with Calyx, something to do with this Ascian, and something to do with the organization that both of these people are a member of. And I say people very, very roughly, because you have a Sundered Ascian. That's our impression. It's a Sundered Ascian. And we have an Endless. So let's go over the status first of both of these characters. So Calyx, as we know, is an Endless. Endless are essentially given form, and they're stored inside terminals like the Meso terminal that are used to essentially keep their consciousness intact, or their memory intact, and then they're giving kind of like new life in an electrope landscape essentially. So that's what living memory was for, which is level 12 of Everkeep, or was level 12 of Everkeep before it moved. Now, as we know with Calyx, he fought us, or he essentially played a controller while he was actually fighting us, and he transferred away before we took like 50 years to charge up one spell to try and destroy the Meso terminal. Obviously we forgot Instacast existed. Now Calyx escaped, as we know, but importantly, we're the only ones that know that Calyx escaped. From a story perspective, the characters of the story are not aware that Calyx survived. So they're under the impression that Calyx is gone now and everything is fine. So they're under the impression that everything is gone back to normal, and now they can study the key in peace, they can study everything else in peace, because as far as they were aware, preservation, from what we learned in 7.3, is just Calyx now. They don't know about the Ascian, they don't know about whoever these peers are that these two actually work with. Now, in terms of where Calyx is, we can't really say. They're in a void with absolutely nothing around. So it's obvious this void is not real. So this is not, for example, this is not the what's the name of the place? What's the place? What's the world between worlds? What's it called? It's not called the void. It's called the what is it called? where the Ascians can just throw themselves into it. Oh, Jesus. What's it called? Oh my god. Oh, what's it called? The Rift. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. Okay. The Rift. Yeah. So it's not the Rift, because the Rift looks different. We've actually seen the Rift once or twice. But the Rift doesn't look like this. Yeah. So the Ascians could throw themselves into the Rift. But this is not the Rift. This is entirely a blank space. Although, I suppose this was just the developers trying not to give too much away. And we're probably not supposed to take this background literally. However, it is a cutscene in the game, so we're going to take it literally. Now, don't forget, Calyx isn't endless. Endless can only exist within established systems, similar to the Mesoterminal, which are designed for their survival. It doesn't mean he's stored within a giant towering structure. The Mesoterminal and the terminals around it were so large because they had literal cities amount of endless to project and to store. So Calyx could actually be stored anywhere. He could have an emergency terminal somewhere. But I think it's possible that this is actually some sort of like accessible digital space. But Calyx, whatever the reason is, he's transferred into this space and he's there. Now, Calyx can only exist within electrope spaces. So what do I mean by that? So for example, he can exist in Everkeep because Everkeep is comprised entirely of electrope. But if he's not around electrope, he can't exist. So he can only exist where there's electrope. So does that mean that there's going to be some sort of like, in terms of Star Trek Voyager, a mobile emitter? It's entirely possible. Like he might have some sort of apparatus that will allow him to be in Endless and explore around. And eventually one day we'll destroy that mobile emitter and Calyx will go bye-bye. I'd say that's probably how Calyx is going to end up going around, because don't forget, he is in Endless. I've said this like 10 times now, he is in Endless. But he is limited in terms of his functionality because he needs a constant flow of Aether. He can't absorb it from the environment. He's not an organic being anymore. And he needs electrope around him in order to project themselves. Or he needs a mini terminal, essentially. But I imagine he's already thought of that. Now, the second character we know is the Ascian. Now, we don't know anything about this Ascian other than what we can see. So I created something here. I think I still have it open. Give me a second. Or I did have it open anyway. Let me have a look. Where is it? Where did I put it? That's the one. Oh, it opened in the wrong screen. Okay, yeah, there we go. So, the Ascian. We don't know much about him, now, to be perfectly honest. Let me just hide a few of these for a second. They'll come into play now in a second. So, we've only got these little 3 slices of him. We don't really know what he is and what he's after. But he's dressed as a stereotypical Ascian. But, again, I think this was on purpose. I think they just used an existing model in order to not give away the game. So they're showing that the person is an Ascian of some sort, and they utilize the model of an Ascian overlord in order to project them. So whoever this model is, it has its hood up. It's something we've seen a lot throughout the years now, to be honest. As you can see, like, it could literally be anybody. It's definitely an overlord based upon the dress. Now, the minor Ascians, for example, they wear similar robes to the other Ascians. However, they don't have the metal overlays of their outfits in order to show their status. So they'll have robes like this, but they won't have the metal attachments. The overlords all wear outfits like this. So if you see this picture here, where you see all the Ascians from 2.0, for example, they're all dressed up the same. They have the stereotypical metallic all around them. They have the symbol of Zodiac behind them, and they have this iconic kind of metal piece, which is kind of like a symbol, on their right shoulders. So yeah, there's not many Ascians left, so we're all speculating about who this Ascian is. Now, the most popular speculation is it's Pastorot, primarily because it's something people have been speculating about for years. We've only seen Pastorot twice. This is one of his appearances, and this is how we saw him in 2.0. But this is literally all we have of him. He literally had one line of dialogue here. I think he had another line of dialogue in like 2.3, and that's it. We never saw him again. But there's other Ascians that we haven't seen. But based upon his former title and everything else, people are heavily speculating that Pastorot is the one. Now, the outfit's a little different. So if you look here for a second. So let me just do... now that you look at it, look at this for a second. So you can see the way the armor's like this. We can see the upper shoulder. But I actually didn't catch that for a second. Look at the upper shoulder of Pastorot. He doesn't have the whatever this is. So let me look at these guys again. So you can see they all have kind of like the upper part as well. Now, these are essentially all the same models, just different, like Hure and stuff like that, of different sizes. Just to try and give away that, yeah, these are Ascians. So, but they all have this iconic kind of shoulder symbol on them. Now, there's certain Ascians who don't have these shoulder symbols. You can see La Habrea definitely did. However, there was one who didn't. The Ascian who didn't wear an outfit like this was Metron, and I think I have a picture of Metron. Give me a second. Although Metron, as we know, is gone. So, or the Metron we know is gone. Metron was sealed away for a long time, so who's to say there wasn't another Metron created, considering he was sealed away. But look at Metron for a second. So, you can see with Metron here, he wears the typical Ascian robe. He is an Ascian overlord. Do I have a picture of his lower half? Well, not his lower half. I want to see his arms. There we go. That's a picture. Yeah. So, his look is closer to the other one, except he's dressed more like a minor Ascian. He doesn't wear the golden kind of armor on the sides. The pauldron. I'll call it a pauldron. He doesn't wear the pauldron. But he looks more like the character we've actually seen here than that, except just without the pauldron, because he doesn't have the shoulder symbol. But again, I think we're not supposed to take this Ascian fully by his appearance. I think it was just a placeholder model. This was essentially a teaser just to say this person's knocking around. He has something to do with the Ascians, but he's not an Ascian, so he's a Fan Daniel character essentially. So he probably was an Ascian, no longer is an Ascian, and he's dressed up in his own personal style now that he's no longer a part of the Ascian organization, and probably identifies as something else entirely. But now what that is, we can only speculate, and there's not much to speculate on because the guy literally does not talk, or we're assuming it's a guy. It could be a woman, we don't know. But essentially, yeah, that's all we have to go on in terms of the Ascian. But we know that both this Ascian and Calyx and whoever their peers are going to be heavily involved in 7.4, 7.5, and more than likely in 8.0. Now, I suppose the good place to start will be going back to Solution 9 here. So essentially, that's everything we have to 7.3. The other part is mainly to do with all of our Scion friends here. So let me talk to these guys real quick and I'll show you what I mean. So with Alizé first, the Alexandrians adopted our technique so quickly that they no longer need our supervision to treat the enthralled. You'd be surprised at how many Porksy practitioners we trained now. Algernon too has been looking rather proud of his efforts. So her dialogue has nothing to suggest what she's planning to do. Graha's probably different though. I think he's different. We've compiled a summary of events and submitted our report to Ajika. As representatives of the students of Valdesian, our thoughts and findings will also be shared with the forum. In less official matters, I am glad to see Kryl find a satisfying end to her personal journey, though it appears her appetite for asking questions has only been sharpened. Now this is very important when I get around to Kryl now in a second, but yeah, Graha is still going on with his student Valdesian work, and I think he's going to return to that, but I'll elaborate on that in a few minutes when I start going on about 7.4. So with Alphino, I am most curious how to see how the Alexandria is welcomed upon the broader stage of nations. As a heretofore unknown, technologically advanced country, I expect it will be met with considerable wariness. I shall do my humble best to ease the tension of the initial introductions. So he's already thinking like a diplomat, and I'm going to go into what he's going to be doing in 7.4 in a minute as well. So the subplot of the tempering is kind of dealt with in that text from Alistair. Yeah, exactly. Like we already knew how to deal with tempering for a long time, so the tempered were easily probably apprehended and then dealt with afterwards. Once Calyx was out of the picture, we could use the drones to round up anybody who was tempered and then sort that out easily enough. A side effect of the Porksy untempering, though, as well, I should mention this, is that anybody suffering from the electric sickness, I can't remember exactly what it's called, will be automatically cured. So I imagine most people will actually have this resolved then at this point. Levin sickness, yes, thank you, Dom. I wonder what Otis and Selenia would think of my becoming the Queen of Alexandria as is now. Doubtless they would be pleased, yet knowing them also be set by worry. As their memory lives on inside me, so shall I strive to rule as if they advise me still with a calm heart and a mind open to counsel. I enjoyed reading Zelenia's story now, to be honest. The fact that she literally died without fighting back, though, is a bit weird to me. But it was a good story. I kind of hoped a warrior like her would have just... I mean, I know why she didn't stand her ground, because her queen was lying asleep behind her, but still, I kind of wanted her to just take the fight somewhere else. She could have easily just escaped. It was a good story, though. I enjoyed it. So, the important two characters for 7.4. This is the part where we need to pay attention now. Y'shtola and Kryl. These are the two important ones. These two are going to be the central Scions we're going to be dealing with for 7.4 and 7.5. They're going to be driving the narrative forward, and here I'll show you why. So, for Kryl, it is time we began a thorough investigation into the key and its capabilities. I have a feeling we'll be calling on your help in that endeavour ere long is said and done. On a personal note, I should also like to learn more of the Milala. The lore of the Forgotten People will be indispensable in furthering my research. Now, what she means by this is, so there's twofold. Y'shtola and Kryl have been both interested in studying the key for a long time. Y'shtola's been dying to get her hands on it since 7.0. So 7.4, a key element of it is going to be the study of the key. And I'll elaborate on that now in a second. But the other part that Kryl said is going to be important as well, in terms of her learning more about the Milala. Now, the easiest way for her to learn about the Milala is the fact that they live in this city. But I think it goes deeper than that. She wants to learn about their origins on Aetheris. But she can't learn that in this city. That can only be learned elsewhere, and I'm going to elaborate on that for 7.4 in a minute. Now, Y'shtola. Calyx demonstrated knowledge of both primal summoning and concepts. Discovering such techniques through independent study would be nigh on impossible, so we must assume he had a mentor, and Y'shtola already knows who it is, she just doesn't want to say. But how are we to learn the identity of this beneficent teacher? Hopefully some hint is to be found amongst the remnants of Preservation's works. So, this is where we stand. The key has always been a central plot point. It just hasn't come into the forefront until now. I mean, Calyx was after it, of course, but he'd made a couple of attempts, of course, but for the most part, the key was never really utilized. We've kept it in our pocket the entire time. We never really needed to use it. But the key is going to be a central plot point, and the fact that it is tells us a lot about where 8.0 is going to go. And you can see where I'm going with this. However, I'll get to that in a second. So, it's time to draw the narrative for what 7.4 and 7.5 and potentially 8.0 is going to be. So, I did a stupid thing here. Give me a second. I drew a silly. Yeah, here we go. I drew a silly. Just to kind of, instead of me just rambling at a random screen, I decided to just put something on the screen just to kind of explain what my thought process is. So I put most of the central characters that are going to be involved. I'm personally hoping Tataru is going to be involved. I mean, I love Tataru and I miss Tataru, but it's time for me to explain what's going to be going on with 7.4. So let's put on some different music while we do that. So I had some music around, or I did. Maybe I turned it off. Did I turn it off? Oh, that's so bad of me. Hang on a second. I'll put the music on and then we'll be good to go. Yeah, so I'll put a Final Fantasy track on. Right. Time to go lore diving. Now, I've given this a fair amount of thought. I thought about what story elements need to fall into place based on what we know, based on what we've seen, and based upon the MacGuffins that are currently in the story. How will they play out in 7.4, 7.5, and into 8.0? And I have my own personal theory about 8.0. So, I suppose that's a good place to start is 8.0's setting. So if I explain the setting first, this will explain my thought process going forward. Now, yeah, so in terms of the setting, we know, well, we have a fair idea of where 8.0 is going to go. We know it's going to be an expansion, of course. Like every expansion, it adds a number of new regions and zones that are lore relevant for the players to explore. It adds new dungeons. We need a central plot device to guide us through this entire expansion of multiple areas. So the areas need to be rather significant. Now, if we look at the map of Aetheris, we can see that there's not really much else to explore that we know about, with the exception of Mericidia. Now, Mericidia, apparently, according to an interview that was done with Yoshi P just last month, apparently rules out Mericidia, but I don't think that's the case. I think Mericidia is as much on the table as it has ever been, and I'll tell you why now. So I have a link to the original one, I think. Yeah, that's the meeting here, isn't it? Yeah, so let me just elaborate on this for a second. People have been taking this at face value, but I don't think they should be doing that. So this is the article I spoke of. So yeah, so we'll skip over a bunch of this stuff. So I'm looking for Mericidia first. So this is what, oh jeez, why do these modern websites have to shove ads down your throat, even with an ad blocker on? Oh, the ad blocker's not on in private mode. Never mind. Okay. Right. So let's see. Where is it? As for where the main story could go from here, I also asked Yoshida if he was able to tease any upcoming locations the Warriors of Light have heard much about, namely Mericidia, a huge region with much importance to the story that we otherwise know little about. Yoshi P apparently said, "I can't provide any specific details," replied Yoshida, "but I have already decided when Mericidia will make an appearance and how. But what I can say is that it is going to be quite a while away." Now, I want you to think about this for a second, and go with me here for a second. Yoshi P is in an interview, and don't forget, 8.0 is already heavily in development, close to finishing its development. The story's already written, everything's pretty much, most of it's already done, I'd say. It's mostly game development. The story elements are all done. So, essentially then, he's asked a question about Mericidia, and then he just goes, We already know how Mirror City is going to be added, and yeah, all we can say is it's going to be quite a while away. Essentially, this is a brush off. He can neither confirm... It's an interview, don't forget. This is an interview with press. He can neither confirm nor deny anything to do with the story, because any confirmation or denial will hint at where the story is going to go. So let's think about this, for example. Say, for example, let's hypothesize for a second. Let's say Mirror City was the zone to be added in 8.0. And this press guy asked him a question about Mirror City. He's not going to confirm it, because that would spoil everything. He's not going to deny it either. He's too smart for that. So instead, he kind of just brushed it off and said, this neutral line is like, we know when... we've already decided when Mirror City will make an appearance and how, but what I can say is it's going to be quite a while away. He didn't lie. He didn't lie about that, don't forget. All he says is it's going to be quite a while away, and don't forget, 8.0 is going to be quite a while away. This is essentially him just not answering the question. So people are taking this at face value, just going, oh, he's not confirming Mirror City. He'd never do that. He never does that. He never says yes or no. He just gives you a strange, like, brush off answer. He's not going to confirm or deny, because it would spoil the surprise. So, in my opinion, this is not to be taken at face value. Mirror City, in my opinion, is still on the table. Now, I'm going with the hypothesis based on my theory that Mirror City is not going to be 8.0. However, don't take it at face value that 8.0 is definitely not going to be Mirror City, because he's not going to answer this sort of question with a yes or no answer. And this is not a yes or no answer. He just said, we know when Mirror City is going to be in. We already knew that, and it's going to be quite a while away. Yeah, of course it is. He's essentially just saying, we know Mirror City is coming. It's going to be in the future. It's just brushing the guy off, essentially, because he didn't want to answer the question, because Mirror City is probably on the top of his mind. Don't forget, the story for 8.0 is already done. The story for 9.0 and 10.0 are already heavily in the works, more than likely. So, keep that in mind, that Mirror City is not off the table. Now, I'll tell you what is on the table. So, I've been heavily thinking about the plot, or I'm going to lower this music down because I have a feeling it's too loud again. Right, there we are. Alright, so, how do I best explain this? So, I've been thinking about this for weeks. I've been thinking about it for a while. And, right, here's what I come up with. Because the key is a central element to the story, and we know the key's primary function is opening portals to other reflections, and potentially to other dimensions and other worlds entirely. We don't know the key's full capabilities. Preservation didn't know. The Malala who actually originally had it didn't know, and its original creator is probably the only one who actually knows it is. Whoever the original creator may be, although the heavy hypothesis is the original LSM was the original creator, and that's what I choose to believe. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to debate about the key. The key, its primary function is going to be the central plot point, which is its ability to connect to other reflections via portals and also for interdimensional fusion. But I think it's the portal aspect that we need to be concerned about. So, my opinion is 8.0 is going to be set upon a new reflection that we have not visited yet. It's not going to be the 9th reflection, but it's going to be a different reflection entirely. And that reflection and the story and plot for FF14 8.0 is going to be heavily fantasy magical in plot. It's going to be the reflection they're going to be traveling to and connecting to is going to have a heavy emphasis on the use of magic. Magic is going to be a central plot device for the 8.0 expansion in this new reflection. So the people of this reflection are going to be heavy practitioners of magic. Magic is going to be used in daily life on a constant basis. I mean, technically this is magic as well. It's magic blending certain technology. But the expansion we're going to be connecting to and traveling around and exploring is going to be high fantasy magic. Like, if we thought magic use in Eorzea was big, this expansion is going to blow it out of the water. So that's my hypothesis on what the overall setting is going to be for the next expansion coming. Now, I'm going to elaborate on exactly how we're going to get there and why we're going to be going there in the first place with what's going to be coming up. So the best way to do this is in the storyboard. So let's do this. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do this properly. So let's start with 7.4. So I really need to fix my thing. It keeps going to monospace by default. Either way, so 7.4 is our primary one right now. So 7.04 will literally start where we're standing right now. So we're going to be going here. We're going to be talking to either Y'shtola or Krile in regards to, oh, you're back. Right, it's time to study the key. So essentially, it's going to start off with, right, everything is going normal in Solution 9. Our allies are all talking about what they're going to be doing next. But the central plot is going to be regarding Y'shtola, and it's going to be regarding Krile. They are both ready and interested in studying the key in order to unlock its secrets. Now, don't forget, she wants to learn about the functions of the key. Y'shtola definitely wants to learn about the functions of the key, primarily to achieve her ultimate goal of being able to travel to other reflections. Now, she wants to travel to the first. There's no real secret about that. She has her reasons. Now, but she also just wants to unlock that ability. Her thirst for knowledge is definitely regarding this, and it has been for a long time. So 7.4 will begin, and they'll say, we're going to study the key now, and we'd like you to essentially hand it over. That's not exactly how it's going to go, but the end result of it is going to be, we're going to hand over the key to either Y'shtola or Krile, and they're either going to take it to the back room, or they're going to take it to the preservation laboratory where the key was originally developed in order to properly study it. So they'll have the key in their possession and they'll begin to study the key. Now, this is going to keep them both occupied for most of this patch. They're going to be studying it for a while. This leaves essentially this group of characters with not much left to do. Scion's going to be doing her own thing. She's going to be probably working with Zerulja in order to properly adopt. She has a kingdom to rule. She's not really going to be involved. She'll start talking for a bit, but otherwise she's not going to be really involved in the story plot. She'll be around, essentially. If I had a picture of Shale, I'd put Shale in here as well. Shale is going to be working with the two of them as well because of her expertise on electrope. So Krile, Y'shtola, and Shale are going to be working on studying the key. Now, they're going to be left to their own devices. We're not going to be really involved with the study of the key. However, they're going to ask us to do something for them. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to get started on the study of the key. Then Alphino and G'raha are going to mention that they intend to return to Sharlayan. Now, the reason being is G'raha wants to return to Sharlayan in order to take care of student Valdesian business. His services are no longer required on Solution 9, so he has to get back and take care of the students of Valdesian and the work that's evolved there. Alphino is going to be hitching a ride back to Sharlayan as well, primarily because his purpose is to return to Eorzea, because he's going to brief the leadership of the Eorzean Alliance regarding everything that's happened in Toral over the past, since 7.0 essentially. And he's going to be opening diplomatic relations between the Eorzean Alliance and the Kingdom of Tuliolal and the Kingdom of Alexandria. So that's his reason for returning to Sharlayan along with G'raha. Now, I know Galarmald. Well, we'll get to that. Now, Alize is just going to be bored out of her tree. She's going to hear they're both returning, and we're going to be going with them. So she's going to be tagging along with us. So she's coming to Sharlayan with us. Now, the reason we're returning to Sharlayan, along with the three of these, is because Kryl has a mission for us to complete. Now don't forget, Kryl has mentioned that she wants to learn about the Milala. She's going to be learning about the modern day Milala from the people here and historical records located here. But most of the historical records regarding their people's arrival on the Ninth Reflection are lost to time. The only place she'll actually be able to learn about those ancient peoples is on the South Sea Isles. She's not going to go there herself, she's busy studying the key. She's going to send us instead to try and learn some information. So she's going to recommend to us that we return to Charlian along with the three of them in order to discuss with a Charlian scholar who has expertise on the South Sea Isles in order to glean information about the ancient Lalafels that existed there prior to the calamity of ice. So unfortunately I don't have a picture of myself to put here. No, Graha is from... It's not Corvos. Yeah, Corvos. Graha is from Corvos. It's close to the South Sea Isles, but it's not the South Sea Isles. It's closer to Thavnir. It's on the continent of Ilsamart. But that's another place to come. Now, we're returning to Charlian at this point. So we head back to Charlian. They're doing their study. So we'll put them aside for now. These three and ourselves are all heading back to Charlian. Graha's going to head to the students to have a look at stuff. Alphino is going to start looking at passage back to Eorzea, or just look at a few things, maybe check in with his family. Alize is not really interested in checking in with our family right now, so she's going to tag along with us while we look for the Charlian scholar regarding the South Sea Isles. Now, we look at that, and our contact, we're going to find out who it is. I was going to assume that somebody, probably in the studio, is going to be able to help us with this. We'll end up making contact with whoever this person is. They'll give us information regarding what's going to be happening on the South Sea Isles currently, and they'll try and answer some of our questions regarding the ancient Lalafels of the South Sea Isles. They probably won't have much information, however, they're going to have information regarding a specific location on the South Sea Isles that may have answers based upon the symbols or pictures or images of the key that we probably have. That they say, oh, do you know what? This matches something that we may have seen on the South Sea Isles. I think you should go to this ruin or this location located on the South Sea Isles in order to investigate exactly what it is you're looking for, because we're not giving them too much information. So what this means is this is going to be the dungeon for 7.4, is a specific location on the South Sea Isles that is going to have the information that we require. So it's probably going to be an old ruin that we end up venturing through. We'll defeat the local wildlife. We'll find a ruin at the end of it. Now, our party is going to be us, Graha, Alize, and Alphino. A balanced party that will allow trusts to happen properly, and we'll venture there. Alphina's going to put off venturing back to Eorzea, just going, oh, interesting, I'll come along with you. Graha's like, oh, another adventure already. I'm just going to abandon my duties with the students and I'll head to the island with you, may as well. So our first dungeon will be in the South Sea Isles. We'll find information at the end of it, probably murals or writings on the walls dialoguing what the Milala were about prior to them opening a portal. And then they use the key to, as we know, but not all of the Milala travelled with the portal, mind you. Most of them did, but not all of them. Now, they might have left other writings behind. So, that's essentially what's going to happen with us, and it's going to happen with these three. So, we'll put these aside for now, because this is going to trigger something else. So, we're going to go back to meanwhile in Solution 9. So, I gave this part a lot of thought, right? I have two possible ideas about what's going to happen. And it's going to introduce a new character that's going to be our guide to the new reflection we're going to. And I'll tell you why now in a second. So, we're venturing around, or we've gotten to the end of the island. We're marking down the information that Kryl requires, and I'm going to bring it back to Solution 9. So I'm probably going to head back. Alphino is heading back to Eorzea. Alizé is coming with us, and Graha is going to return to Sharlayan to take care of the students. Now, we'll fade to black. Meanwhile, in Solution 9's preservation laboratory or whatever, Kryl, Shale, and Y'shtola are tinkering with the key, giving it shocks, just probing it, trying to get something to happen. And something happens. Or, no, actually, no, I lie. Sorry, I lie. Sorry, that's not what I was thinking of. That was my other theory, but this is my main theory. We take the information from the South Sea Isle ruins, and we bring it back to Kryl. So we bring back some ancient writings, some ancient incantations, specifically, importantly, incantations. We bring these incantations to her, and she's looking over them, just going, oh, fascinating incantations. Wonder what they mean. But the incantations are important to the original use of the key prior to its electro augmentations. Now, don't forget, the key is the crystal. So let me just confirm this with you again, because this is the important part. The key, where the hell is it? Where is it? Oh, come on, I had a picture of the key. Where is it? Where is it? Hang on. 1 second. 1 second. I have it somewhere. I really need to sort my file system out, you know that? Come on, I had a picture of the bloody key. There we go. Okay. Alright, so. The important thing we need to remember about the key is actually this. The crystal that's inside. This electro augmentations are just to allow them to use it, because the people on the Ninth Reflection didn't have a clue how to use this thing. The ancient Milala on the South Sea Isles utilized just the crystal in order to open a portal from the source to the Ninth Reflection, and they traveled through it using just that key. Now, the incantation is an important factor that was lost to time, which is why without the incantation they weren't able to operate the key properly, which is why it needed the electro augmentations. Now, when we bring the incantation back to Kryl, she attempts to use it while channeling Aether into the key. She chants the incantation, and suddenly the key activates spontaneously, and everybody's like, oh no, what the hell is happening? It opens a portal in the middle of the laboratory connecting to another reflection. Now, which reflection is it connecting to is the important part. The portal opens based upon the settings of what the key actually did last time. Now, think about when the key was last utilized. The key was last utilized by Endless Scion in order to enable interdimensional fusion, and she was attempting to drain Aether from a different reflection. We never got an answer exactly what reflection she connected to, but she connected to something. Now, let me see if I have a picture of that for a second. Fairly certain I had a picture of it. It's probably under Storied Events of Alexandria, near where the key was. Yeah, there. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, yeah, I'm going backwards. I should be going forwards, not backwards. No, Calyx, I've gone too far. Okay, I don't have it apparently. Right, never mind. We know what happened. So, the last time the key was utilized was by Endless Scion to connect to another reflection for interdimensional fusion in order to drain the Aether for them for the Endless. Now, that connection wasn't available for very long, but we don't know exactly what reflection Endless Scion connected to, and we don't know what sort of side effects this connection of interdimensional fusion had on that reflection. Because we defeated her, we took the key away from her, and interdimensional fusion was deactivated along with the key. Now, in the laboratory, after Kryl does the incantation that attunes with the actual key itself, the portal opens based upon the last connection that was done, and a portal opens between the laboratory and the mysterious reflection. Now, what happens next is Y'shtola takes the lead. Y'shtola summons one of her she summons one of her a Nixie, one of our familiars. And similar to what she did when we were studying the Void, she sends a Nixie through the portal to see exactly what's happening and where it leads. She sends a Nixie through, and we're all waiting there with bated breath. Our other allies arrive. Other people from Oblivion, probably Scion as well, arrives, just go, I heard a portal opened, what's happening, what's going on? And all of a sudden, Y'shtola goes, oh, her Nixie was just destroyed on the other side. And she's like, something just destroyed my Nixie on the other side. There was a stable connection between the two, but that connection was severed, and the portal's still active. What's going on? Suddenly, all hell breaks loose. A armored figure jumps through the portal and attacks everybody in the laboratory. Just going, it was you, it's your fault. And this mysterious person starts charging at them with magic spells and other stuff like that. So a fight erupts within the laboratory with this mysterious figure. We subdue them easily enough. However, more figures are about to come through the portal. So Kryl quickly uses the incantation again, and the portal is deactivated. And the portal closes before anything else can come through. However, this mysterious figure that came through and started waving a weapon around and throwing spells every which direction is now unconscious on the floor. So everybody's going, okay, what the hell happened? Now, I'm rambling on a bit, so try and stay with me. I've been thinking about this for a while. So, the plot for 8.0 is all stemming back to the finale of 7.0. And the Scion's connection via interdimensional fusion to a mysterious reflection had a disastrous side effect that we didn't realize until this point, and the mysterious figure we just met is about to elaborate on this for us. So this mysterious figure is from a kingdom on the other side of the portal, and don't forget I said this reflection is heavily based around magic and the use of magic. So one day they're just going about their business, and then we get into our fight with Enda's Fiend, and she activates interdimensional fusion. All of a sudden, a gigantic frickin' portal opens up in the sky above this reflection, and the aether of their world starts getting sucked out of their reflection, and all hell breaks loose. It has effects on the environment, it had effects on the people down below who are suddenly going, oh my god, my aether's getting sucked dry. And people are just going, oh my god, what the hell is happening? And then inexplicably, the portal closes and people are like, what the hell just happened? And apparently their world then is having some disastrous side effects from what just happened. So much aether was just drained out of that world that it's having a disastrous effect upon the ecosystem of that world. And the kingdoms of that world are going, this portal just opened and our world is now falling to ruin. We need to do something. So they're investigating what's going on. And then all of a sudden, a small portal opens up, similar to the interdimensional fusion that was just caused, that actually caused disastrous consequences to their world. And a fighter jumps through, a magical fighter, and an army is about to march through to see, alright, they're not doing this to us again, let's jump through. So essentially that's going to be the plot point for 8.0, is that we're going to help the figure that jumped through. They're going to wake up and they just go, it's your fault. The portal that you opened up is the same, similar to the portal that opened up before and caused disastrous consequences to our world. Our world is starting to fall apart due to losing so much aether at that point. Now, what this means for us is that we start trying to convince this person, like, this wasn't us, it was actually just a different person utilizing the key. But we might be able to help you out. So, essentially, the plot for 8.0 then will be us utilizing this portal again to transport ourselves and certain amounts of our allies to this new reflection in order to help them bring stability back. It's similar to Shadowbringers in some ways, except we're working in a world with heavy magic focus, and we're just trying to stabilize the etheric balance of their world, essentially. So that's my idea for where 8.0 is going to go. Now, I had to think about multiple elements, just like the elements that we have on the board, which are Calyx, the Ascian, whoever their group is, and the key. The key points to reflections, and we know other reflections are on the board. But it also had me thinking about, based upon it also had me thinking about Dawn Trail for a second. So bear with me here for a second, right? So FF14 Dawn Trail. It's fair to say Dawn Trail was a great expansion, in my opinion. Dawn Trail was a great expansion. I enjoyed Dawn Trail. I enjoyed the story. It had its issues, yes, of course. But it wasn't as bad as people are going on. The main gripe people had is, aside from its issues, it's just it wasn't as good as Endwalker. To be fair, trying to top Endwalker was a very, very, very tall order. So I'm not going to fault them for not being able to top Endwalker, to be honest. Endwalker was the culmination of an entire decade. So it was a tall order to actually try and do better. They didn't do better. But by logic of MMO games, it had to stop somewhere. The ceiling had to be hit at some point. It's not just going to keep going a better expansion, better expansion, better expansion, better expansion. At some point, they're going to just either draw even or do something that's not as good as an expansion. Now, keep in mind as well, the story writers for the game have also changed. So people are a bit jarred by the fact that now the storytelling feels a bit different, because the people who were in charge of the storytelling for 2.0 and the expansions beyond are no longer in charge. So there's different main storytellers, main lore writers in charge. Now, as I said, Dawn Trail is not a bad expansion. It's just people are giving it a lot of gruff because it's not Endwalker. But it's given Creative Unit 3 pause. They're going, we've finally hit that point. We've hit the ceiling. We're not doing better than Endwalker. We need to do something special for 8.0. But 8.0 was already planned out. I can guarantee you, the plot for 8.0 was already fully planned out long before Dawn Trail even released. I'd say probably even part of the way through Endwalker is when the plot was already done. It could have been done years ago. But I think it's a logical point for them to go to a reflection with a heavy magical emphasis. I think they want to return to their roots of high fantasy. So I think that's a path they're going to. Heavy on the magical aspects, heavy on magic and fantasy, heavy on exploring mystical worlds, allowing for the full depth of exploration and full depth of immersion. So they nailed some of those elements with Dawn Trail. A lot of them were disjointed though. Like, what's the best way to do this? Best of luck, Dom. Yeah, so the plot for Dawn Trail, people found it a bit jarring. The fact that it was in two parts, people didn't really enjoy. And to be honest, I think I think 8.0 is actually going to be in two parts as well. I think part one of the 8.0 expansion is us going to this new reflection, helping them out however we can, spending our time in a world of high fantasy. And then part two is going to be dealing with Calyx and his allies. So there's going to be a new threat emerging, or maybe they were behind everything all along or taking advantage of the situation. And second part of 8.0 is us going to be dealing with them and trying to get them sorted out. And that might lead us to new locations located on Aetheris. For example, Blind Frost is a prime location that maybe their organization is based around, and we may end up going there. But I digress. Yeah, I think I've lost my train of thought now. Let me check my notes here for a second. Let me see. Yeah, I've already gone through that. So what's Keel saying here? So I think it failed to change in fundamental ways other than games doing better and cost less. Why would I pay 70 for 10 hours of MSQ when I can go play Starwell for free and get 50 hours of the event during the time it takes one patch? That's a fair point, I guess. Was Dawn Trail $70? It was, wasn't it? It was, yeah, it was €70 for me, but it was expensive, wasn't it? Yeah. But to be fair, that's not just a Square Enix thing. That's a like a full gaming industry thing at the moment. Is, did you buy it after Max? I can't remember how much the expansion cost, to be honest. I honestly don't remember. Okay, so it must have been cheaper. I don't know. I can't remember, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, just thinking about the plot devices and the plot points. That's my best theory about where we're going. A new reflection is a definite, but I think the reflection is high fantasy. And I think, now go with me here for a second, is one thing that the player base has been asking for a long time in terms of the trailers for an upcoming expansion is to have a caster as the poster job for the upcoming expansion. And I think this is going to be a prime time for it, because you're going into a reflection with a heavy magical emphasis. It makes sense if the Warrior of Light is a caster this time. So I can picture it in my mind, the Warrior of Light as a black mage, for example. So our Scion allies are all fighting a horde of monsters and stuff like that, and we're at the background just casting up our spell, and we're making a big elaborate show of casting this massive spell, and then all of a sudden obliterating a giant horde of everything, because that's just the power of the Warrior of Light. I definitely see that as being 8.0's primary poster child. If not that, it's going to be healer. Now, healers are harder to do. I would personally love if the poster job was a healer and the trailer for the Warrior of Light and the Warrior of Light was a healer. Like, I could see, like, for example, again, let's say our Scion allies are getting overwhelmed. They're all getting damaged. They're all getting hurt. We stand up in the background as a white mage, casting giant waves of light, just healing everybody, picking everybody up. No, NPC, that was Alphino. He was in the trailer as a sage, but the Warrior of Light was a paladin. So we've never gotten a healer as the poster job. We've never gotten a caster, or we've never gotten Discipline of Magic as the poster job for an expansion. And people have been really asking for it, and I really think caster is going to be the one. I would love it to be Black Mage. I think Black Mage makes the most sense in my mind, because Black Mage, don't forget, Black Mage is the most easily recognizable job, not only in FF14 but Final Fantasy. So having a Black Mage as the poster job would definitely bring back a lot of eyes, especially to people who are probably not fully familiar with Final Fantasy 14 at all. Maybe they haven't been keeping up with the news of it, but then they see a trailer with a Black Mage and they're like, oh, I remember Black Mage. Kind of like hinting back to the fans of old. But we're not going to have to wait too long. We'll have to wait till NA FanFest. But I think it's NA FanFest first, isn't it? It's NA FanFest, then EU FanFest, then Japan FanFest, yeah. Red Mage would work as well, but Red Mage is not as iconic as Black Mage in terms of storyline. So in terms of like the series, the Black Mage has always been an iconic job. But Red Mage would work just as well, but yeah, it could work, to be honest. But I think Black Mage, given its simplicity and given it's easy enough to recognize, I think it would be a Black Mage. But I just want it to be a caster. Like, if it's any caster, I don't care. Any caster would do, in my opinion. No, Max, I don't think Y'shtola needs another job. I think she's perfectly happy as a Black Mage. So she did get a job change. She went from Conjurer to Black Mage. So you've already said it. She did get a job change. Alize went from a pseudo arcanist to a red mage. Graha is just an all-rounder due to his position. Alphino changed from Arcanist to Sage. Kryl changed from Conjurer to Pictomancer. And Yustola changed from Conjurer to Black Mage. And Thancred, of course, changed from Rogue to Gunbreaker. And Urianger changed... Or if he had something, what did he have before? He was something. I think he was Arcanist or something. He was something like that. And then he changed to Astral Logician. There's nobody else that needs to change jobs, to be honest. Not saying they can't change jobs, like one day, but I think they're all pretty iconic in terms of their designs right now. I think we're going to the rest of Kugane. Yeah, that's another thing. So let's quickly go over again. I've already done this before, I think at one point, but let's go over the map real quick, right? So here's the map of the world. So, or a theorist specifically. So one of the things that hasn't been explored yet is this part of the world, which is... Oh, I need a better map. Give me a second. I can't pronounce the name off the top of my head. Bukio, isn't it? It's Bukio or Vukio or something. I have a giant folder of maps here. Give me a second. Map of Highland. Where's my old map of Highland? Is that my old map of Highland? Yeah, there's my old map of Highland. Yeah, so over here is... Yeah, I knew I was right. Bukio. Bukio is part of the Isle of Koshu, Hingashi. So this island is all we have. Well, we only have access to the city. We don't even have access to outside the island. They're heavily isolationist. So this is an entire nation, but they're very isolationist. They don't really have any contact with anybody. Aside from having a Guardian embassy at this port, which is open to international trade, they don't have a contact with anybody. So this could definitely be an area that would be added. So the only access we've had beyond this border is... It was one of the side things we did with... what was it? It was that side content we did where we're exploring buildings and stuff. I can't remember what its name was. So yeah, we have this location that still hasn't been explored. We have Blind Frost, which is up here, which I think is going to be added in 8.0 and is going to be where Calyx and the Ascians are based, or the Ascian that we saw is based. Another place is Erzland. We already know that 2 of our Scion allies are heading towards Erzland, which is the ancestral home of the Rogadin race. It's also where Nunkret's Hope was built and sailed all the way to Eorzea and then teleported up to here, give or take, and then teleported back. Or no, it teleported to here. Or the sea was just too high and it sailed here. I can't really remember that, the lore for that. But yeah, there's not really many places left that need to be added. The Far Reach is another place. This part here of Aldenard has not really been explored. The Hellhounds, or not the Hellhounds, the Hells, is it the Hell's Guard Rogadin, or the other Rogadins? The ones that aren't the Seawolves, they come from around here. So that's another place we could go. The Hell's Guard, yeah. Yeah, I knew I was right. The other one is Corvos. We haven't really seen Corvos. We've heard Corvos mentioned in Endwalker. Our Scion allies went to Corvos while we were in Elpis. And Corvos was actually in a pretty bad state when they got there. So Corvos is another place that needs to be shown. Yeah, this map is annoying. This map is not the best, to be honest. But the in-game map is no better, to be honest. Like, why is this still here? Just remove this. Like, it... I don't know why they left that here. It is what it is. The place north of Garlemald as well, there's floating islands here. We don't really know exactly what they are, but they've never really been explored. Yeah, Corvus is all the way down here, so traveling from Thavnir is probably the easiest way. You can take a land route from Dalmasca, technically, but to be fair, this place has pretty much been ignored since at the end of Stormblood. I don't think we're going to get anything else regarding this. I would love a continuation of rebuilding Dalmasca, but I don't think we're going to get it, to be honest. Like, this place is... They added this, like, this place was the subject of... an alliance raid, but it was never really touched afterwards. Yeah, the in-game maps are not the best now, to be honest. This place, like the it's probably easier to show you in the other one here. Yeah, the Dalvane Grath and the Unpromised are two places that haven't been explored either. So I would love to explore them. We haven't explored the Nama either, which is the Nama Desert. So a new desert region would be very good as well. We explored the Azim Steppe up until this point, but we haven't explored the Nama Desert. You know how much I love the Burn, but we've already... Well, we haven't explored the Burn, to be fair, but there's not really much to see in the Burn aside from having dungeons. Naxia is also on the cards as well. Naxia is a heavily jungle region, so adding a jungle location would be great as well, although we did get one in Dawn Trail and it didn't get the highest of receptions. Like, if you notice this for a second, let me reference this now for you for a second, right? So think about this map here for a second, right? So Yaktel, Urkopaka, Kozumauka, and then you have Shaloni, yeah, and Shaloni, you have Shaloni, Ukopaka, Yaktel, and Kozumauka. These four zones are very, 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 very unfortunate casualties of the Dawn Trail storyline, because I'll be honest as well, I'm a lore lover. You all know that, I'm a lore lover, but even I rarely visit these zones. Like, the only reason people go to these zones is to grind fates and stuff like that. Like, these zones, as lovely as they are, they have some nice stuff about them. Like, in particular, Kozumauka, like, I love the history with the giants. They have great visuals, but in terms of plot and everything else, they're largely just ignored. Like, they all got pretty much overridden the moment we got to Heritage Found in Solution 9. Like, as soon as we got to Solution 9, we pretty much forgot Tuliolal existed. Like, it's funny. I found that to be funny. And then when 8.0 launches, Solution 9 is going to be abandoned again. That's what I'm not looking forward to. The moment 8.0 launches, Solution 9 is going to be abandoned. I really hope they address this flaw of secondary cities laying abandoned after we're done with them. Like, they really need to get into the practice of adding market boards to the secondary cities after their main expansion is done. They have no reason not to be honest. It's just laziness, in my opinion. But yeah, that's that. Alright, what else do I want to talk about? Is there anything, a part of the plot that I haven't gone through yet? So, I've gone through the Mare Stydia part. I know they're going to go to the South Sea Isles. I feel it in my bones. We're going to the South Sea Isles, at least for a dungeon, in order to learn about the key. Let's see. No, nothing else in here. No. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. It's so hard to speculate about Calyx and the Ascian because we know nothing about them. Alo Alo Islands. The Alo Alo Islands are... The Alo Alo Islands, like, this map is probably not good either. It's probably the most up to date. Well, it's the most visually appealing map I have, but it's out of date, which annoys me. We really need a properly updated map, you know. So, yeah, you have the South Sea Isles here. Alo is nearby, as I recall. It's around the South Sea Isles somewhere. It's somewhere around here. But Alo has some interesting, in my opinion, connections to the South Sea Isles. And probably has connections to the key as well. Like the ruins, for all we know, the ruins of Alo actually are connected to the key. We just don't realize it. Like there's that mysterious like Lalafell that we fought on Alo. I can't remember her name exactly, but I have a feeling she's connected to the ancient Milala as well. But yeah, Alo Islands is down there. It's entirely possible Alo Islands will be our exploratory point, or a different part of the South Sea Isles. The Priestess of the Sun, yeah, exactly. Like, she's a mysterious one. But we never really got a proper explanation about exactly who these people were. But it's all harkening back to the ancient Lalafells, or Milala as they're known now. Just like the one seen in the Scholar Summoner weapons. What do you mean by that? Is that the new Phantom weapons or something else? The place is filled with geometric images. Oh, you're sorry. You're talking about. Yeah, Max. You're talking about. You're talking about the mathematics that was developed on the South Sea Isles, which was the basis for the creation of the Arcanist, which is why our books have, or not my book, the other book. Where's the other book? I don't have a summoner. Oh, I do have a summoner. Yeah. So the shapes and stuff. I don't remember my book looking at it. Yeah, it's similar to this. So this is all based upon mathematics that was developed on the South Sea Isles. You're very interested to know how such a nomadic tribe is this advanced. To be fair, I don't think they're very nomadic. Just because they live on an island doesn't mean they're not advanced. They were so advanced, in fact, that people who migrated from the South Sea Isles found jobs easily anywhere they went, and they also developed arts like the Arcanist wherever they went. So, what was the class they were fighting with that they said Arcanists were based off in the arena of living memory? You're just talking about Arcanists. Yeah, when they were both fighting like that, it's just like the magical principles they were using was indicative of the people of the South Sea Isles. So the people of the South Sea Isles practice an art very similar to Arcanists, but Arcanists were developed on Eorzea, as I recall. It's just kind of like an offshoot of the magical principles that were brought over from the South Sea Isles, but I think the people in the South Sea Isles practice a kind of like proto-Arcanist job. It's just something based upon mathematic principles, but it's something different. It's similar, but it's different. It's what inspired the creation of the Arcanist. But obviously that art endured and was brought over to the Ninth Reflection and endured throughout the centuries there. But their art was very basic from what we saw as well. They cast only a couple of spells that we saw. They cast Ruin. That's, as far as I was aware, in that fight that we saw between the two Lalafells, or the two Milala, they only cast Ruin spells. Insta-cast Ruin 1 and then Ruin 3, I think. I thought that was funny though. I enjoyed that part. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Rune 2 and then... Yeah, Rune 1 and Rune 2 is what they cast. Right, so is there anything else I haven't been thinking about? So... The key. It's hard to speculate on the key, to be honest. Because... we know it was in the possession of the Lalafells of the South Sea Isles, or this part was, not the Electro part. We don't know its origins. I've already speculated on what its origins are. I'll tell you again, because I said it in other streams as well. The origins all tie back to Azem, because if you recall, during our fight with Endless Fiend, the key resonated when we activated Azem's incantation. And when we activated it, the symbol of Asem the Traveler appeared on top of the key, which means that there was definitely a connection between the key and Asem, which resonated with us because we are the reincarnation of Asem's soul, and we used his incantation literally within the presence of the key, which is why it reacted. Now, doesn't answer where the key came from, but I've already stated my theory many times about where the key came from. It came directly from Asem, and he either intentionally dropped it into the volcano on the South Sea Isles or accidentally dropped it into the volcano at the South Sea Isles. I really wonder what Golbez would think of that Memoria crystal in the key. What, you talking about this? That's not Memoria. Memorias are different. Memorias are yeah, Memorias are this. That's Memoria. They're different though. We know one of them is still on the table. One of them was given to Reen. The crystal that contained Zeromus was given to Reen. We still don't know exactly where that's going, but it's brimming with darkness aspected aether. So I think they're just planning to use it to restore balance on the verse. That's what I forgot to mention. Sorry. That's what I forgot to mention. I have another theory regarding the new reflection and how it will tie into the 1st and the 13th. So, as I said with the new reflection, heavily magically aspected. However, its aspect is kind of going out of control. So we go to that reflection in order to restore etheric balance, and we also need to restore the aether of that world because a lot of its aether was sucked away. So they're having issues because a lot of the aether of the natural world was actually drained away. Now, we already know how to redirect aether from one world to the other. Specifically, aspected aether. Now, what's to stop us from attempting to surfuse aether from either the 1st or the 13th in order to restore the elemental balance of the new mysterious reflection of 8.0 that we're going to? So say for example, we channel light aspected aether from the 1st into this other reflection. It gives them more light aspected aether. It's not going to cause too much harm, but it'll restore more aether to the environment. And as a happy side effect, it removes more light aspected aether from the 1st, helping the 1st to further stabilize its etheric balance. And the same could also be done for the 13th in order to help restore the 13th. If a connection is able to be made to the 13th, a connection can be made from the 13th, theoretically, to channel darkness aspected aether away from the 13th into the mysterious reflection, removing a lot of darkness aether and hopefully helping to start the aether balance of the 13th to try and bring it back from the brink. Because right now the aether of their world has nowhere to go. Manually removing that darkness aether might be the best method of helping to restore the 13th reflection. So that's probably a way that 3 reflections could actually be involved in one expansion by helping to restore one reflection that's lost a lot of aether by transferring light and darkness aether from 2 other reflections that have literally too much of both. With the remaining reflections, are there any reflections that couldn't be balanced? So this is a hard thing to say, or it's not a hard thing to say, it's a hard thing to confirm more. Like, let me open my created illustrations folder. Hang on. So I created an illustration a while ago regarding the reflections, didn't I? Is it this one? Yeah, sorry, it's this one. Okay. Yeah, so this is, well, this was how the reflections looked. Or no, I need a better picture. Hang on, I had a better picture. Give me a second. I had a better picture. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So this is how the reflections looked, but now we know the 9th is aspected to lightning, so we could say that that's aspected to lightning. Now, the 9th reflection was likely pushed into aspect of lightning intentionally. I believe, and it's not been confirmed, so take what I say with a grain of salt. If you want to learn more about this, by the way, I made a video about how reflections work, so it's on my channel. You can look at that as well. But it's my theory regarding reflections is that all the reflections are actually neutral in elemental alignment. They're not all predisposed to be fire aspected, light aspected, darkness aspected, lightning aspected. They weren't designed to be that way. However, the Ascians discovered in order to try and rejoin some of these reflections, they needed to push their elemental alignment in order to rejoin them with the source by transferring their elemental alignment to something else. Say like the third reflection was aspected to Earth, for example, and then they triggered an Earth related calamity on the source, which allows its heavily aspected Earth reflection to rejoin to the source. And that's how rejoinings works. That's rejoinings 101. But I believe that all the reflections are actually neutrally aspected from the beginning, and the Ascians were the ones who pushed their elemental alignments into exactly what they needed for specific purposes of rejoining. So they pushed this one to lightning to trigger the calamity of lightning. It rejoined. Same with the fire, earth, wind, ice. Seventh we believe is darkness. There's 2 darkness as well, but this is a better darkness. And the 10th was water, and the 9th is aspected to lightning, because they probably intended to push this reflection to lightning and then trigger another lightning aspected rejoining. Now that's where my other theory of the Ascian that we saw with Calyx, one of the most likely theories about who this person is that he was the Ascian, or they were the Ascian that was assigned to the 9th reflection in order to push that reflection's aspect to lightning in order for it to be joined later, because multiple Ascians were sent to all of these worlds in order to push their elemental alignments to a particular aspect. So for example, I need to take a drink. My throat is getting very dry. Think about the Ascians for a second, right? The Sundered Ascians were sent to all of these reflections in order to push their elemental alignments. The first one was the 13th. Wyrm was sent to this reflection. Unfortunately, she did her job a bit too well, but they didn't really understand the process of connection between source and reflection, and the 13th fell to the void. So they learned their lessons, and then they refined the theory for later on. Then they started sending other Ascians to other reflections in order to push their elemental aspects to rejoin them. For example, Metron was sent to the first in order to push the alignment to light to rejoin to the source. Wyrm, as we know, was sent to the 13th. Other Ascians were sent to these reflections, and it goes without saying that it's more than likely that one of the Ascians was sent to the 9th in order to push it to lightning in order to rejoin to the source at a later date. And that's likely where this Ascian came from. The second theory is that Calyx was actually the Ascian from the 9th reflection, and then he joined preservation afterwards. Maybe he became disillusioned with the Ascians, we don't know. That's the other theory, is that even though he's an endless now, he actually was a Sundered Ascian once upon a time. But I digress. I'd say it's more than likely he's from here, and I'd say Pastrot was probably the one that was sent to this reflection. But that's my theory. We have 3 reflections left on the board. So we have the 4th reflection, the 11th reflection, and the 8th reflection. Now, we don't know anything about these reflections at all. Nothing's been mentioned about the 4th, 8th, or 11th. We don't know what their elemental aspects is. It's entirely possible they're neutral. It's entirely possible the Ascians were there / are there and pushed their elemental alignments to a different alignment that we just don't know about. I'd say it's highly likely that the elemental alignments of these worlds were pushed to something else by the Ascians ahead of time. So we could be heading into a reflection heavily fire aspected, for example. I think the 8th will connect Mericidia just because how they are theming. If you can elaborate on that, I'd be interested in knowing about that. Mericidia is a difficult one to piece together. Does Mericidia show up on this map? It does, yeah, sorry. So Mericidia, the southern continent, is a very, very hard piece to pin down. The only thing we know about Mericidia is based upon Ascian records. So Mericidia was a location that had a myriad of different beast tribes, and it was also home to the broods of Bahamut and Tiamat. So they both had their broods on this island, or this continent rather, and this continent was invaded by the Ascians at the twilight of their empire. Now, as we know, they left this continent pretty much, according to Ascian record, this continent was pretty much laid to waste during the process of the war with the dragons. And eventually then the war with the Primal Bahamut, which is how Omega got involved and subdued Elder Primal Bahamut, and then the rest is history. And then when the Ascians, or not the Ascians, when the Allagan Empire fell with the coming of the Calamity of Earth, Mericidia was pretty much abandoned and left in we don't know what state. We know Emmett Selk has mentioned it once. Emmett Selk mentioned Mericidia once, just going, the southern continents, do you know aught of its present state of affairs? To be fair, we don't know anything about its present state of affairs. And I want to talk about Emmett Selk for a second. On the Calyx Ascian thing, what if there are two Calyxes? The original uploaded their minds to make the Endless, but did not die, and instead became Ascian themselves, and let their Endless do some of their work for them. It's entirely possible, Johnny, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of the incarnations died and then another one was created, because we've seen multiple Ascian overlords have been created of the same person. Emeraloth is a prime example. One Emeraloth was destroyed on the Isle of Val, and then another one was created afterwards. Mericidia was ravaged by war and had a lot of similarities between the FF8 worlds. There's also a hidden super advanced civilization there in FF8. I recall that, the Cetra in Final Fantasy VIII. So I could see where you're going with that. Like, if this had an FF8 theme with the Cetra and stuff like that, I'd say that would actually be really cool. Minus the orphanage down on the coast. Living tree-like race, as far as I remember, live in Mericidia. Yeah, they're the ones that summoned Sephiroth. And then there was another race of centaurs summoned Zervan. And then Sophia was summoned by... I wanted to say an elephant race. Well, it's not an elephant race. It's a... There's another race there that summoned Sophia. Yeah, I can't remember. It was somebody else. There was 3 tribes there, and they each summoned a member of the Warring Triad. The demiurges look human and golden from Sophia. Okay. Yeah, so we don't know what the status of these peoples are. I'd say they likely survived. We just don't know what state this continent is in. I imagine this continent is littered with Allagan technology as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I would like to see some more Allagan elements added in. A lot of people are sick of Allagan, but I'm not. I love Allagan stuff, so I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of it. The big question on everybody's mind at the moment is Tiamat here? Now, it's an interesting question to posit. What do we think? So, Tiamat was locked away, or in self-imprisonment on Aziz La for a long time. So, she was here for a long time. Her brood was locked away as well. Or her brood was somewhere else locked away, but her brood was then locked in a tower down in the south of Eorzea. After they were freed, a load of them were freed, and she was freed as well, and then she flew off with the remains of her brood to parts unknown. Now, we don't know where they flew off to. We know she's still active. The last we heard of her was her roar at the conclusion of the 6.5 patch, as I recall, where both Vitra and Ajdaya yelled out, and the responses they got were from Reisvelgar, Tiamat, and Midgard Sormer also yelled out as well. We don't know if Tiamat returned here, or if she went somewhere else. If I had to think about it, I'd say this island... I'd say she was probably curious to see if any of her brood or any of her any descendants of dragons survived. So it's entirely possible she returned here to have a look. In terms of settling here, I'm not certain. Like, she knows the Alligans are gone now, so maybe it's probably safe to go back. It probably holds a lot of bad memories for her, but maybe she's gotten over that. So it's entirely possible we'll see Tiamat and her brood here, but time will tell. It's a huge continent as well, don't forget. I mean, look at the size of Eorzea compared to this. Like, it's a huge continent. Although this is a huge continent as well, but with the areas we got, it didn't look that large, and a lot of it wasn't explored. So it'll make for a great expansion in my opinion, but exactly when it'll be added is the question. And why we're going to Mericidia. This is the thing, we need a why. Why are we going to these places? What is our excuse? What will drive us to these locations? What drives us to another reflection? I've already elaborated on my own theory about why we're going to this new magically heavy emphasis on magic reflection. So Mericidia, aside from the fact that we're just like, oh, we want to explore Mericidia, we need an excuse. We need a lore excuse. This place has multiple zones, more than likely. It's a giant continent. We need to properly explore it. But what's our reason? What's going to drive us here? Aside from exploration. I mean, I don't mind exploration, but that's the next thing I actually wanted to talk about. Sorry. So let me go back to this for a second. So you might have noticed that there's 3 members of the Scions that are currently unaccounted for. Max, you're probably not far off. Like, Max, if you've ever heard of the seed vaults, there's actually a vault next to it that most of the data that needs to be preserved for the world is actually stored there as well. Not servers, but storing servers in a cold environment is actually something that exists. A lot of servers are stored underwater for cooling purposes. Now, you might have noticed throughout 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, there was 3 Ascians, or not 3 Ascians, sorry, 3 Scions that are missing. And that is Urianger, Thancred, and Estinian. We haven't heard from them at all. And I want to research this for a second with you. So let me open the Dawn Trail MSQ. So I've taken let's put it over here. As you know, I take notes of all the patch dialogue and all the quest dialogue, so I'll be able to mine it later. So let's mine this for a second, right? So I've got this all the way from 7.0 to 7.3, so you can see the 7.3 dialogues here. So let's search for Urianger. So let's see what his last dialogue was. So Alizé sent something here. So lest you wonder, Thancred and Urianger have left to resume their tour of Tural. Your stolen meanwhile is back to research and crowd. Yeah, see, this is 7.1, I think 7.2 maybe. So they're still exploring Tural. But that's the question. Are they going to find something? Are they going to see something? I mean, why have they been off the board for so long? Aside from the fact that I think it was intentional why they were left off the board, because there's already so many characters in the story. Adding these people on would just be overwhelming. I mean, I get we're all familiar with these characters, but there's too many people in the room. So I think that's the reason that they did this. There was too many people in the room, so they decided to take 3 of them off the board that wouldn't have as much to contribute in terms of the dialogue, or they just got, essentially their roles got moved to other people for the sake of dialogue and the sake of easy story writing, essentially. So yeah, Urianger and Thancred are both together exploring Tural. We don't know if it means they're going to find something or something interesting. We don't know. The other one who's also off the board at the moment is Ascian. So let's have a look at Ascian. Or actually, let's keep going with Urianger's dialogue. Let's see what Urianger's last dialogue in the MSQ was. We who shall remain want for neither expertise nor experience. Worry not on our account and fix thy gaze upon the path ahead. Ascian's here as well. En route here, I caught sight of a large lizard. It looks palpable enough, so I shall hunt it later. We can enjoy the meat while you regale me with tales of the world beyond after you've returned. This is when we were standing at the gate. So this is when we entered living memory. So they stood at the gate to help defend everybody, as I recall. Yeah, so I think they were just removed for the purpose of just freeing up the plot to allow for other characters to actually occupy it. So we have Kryl, we have Scion, we have Wyrmlimion, and we have other side characters as well that are also contributing. There's just you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, as it were. So that's why these 3 characters were sacrificed. They're still part of the story. Eventually they'll come back in. So after Scion is no longer in the story, Wyrmlimion's no longer in the story, the side characters are no longer in the story, these characters will pop back in when it's relevant and when they're needed to be in the story again. So now if we look at this for a second, we know that Ascian is just walking around hunting stuff, and these 2 are just exploring Tyrell, but we don't know exactly how they're going to fit into the story later. Ascian and Nidhogg still have stuff to do, but I think that's towards Meracidia. Well, to be fair, Ascian and Tiamat have already met, so there's not really much of a reunion that needs to be involved here. Yeah, Ascian will definitely be involved in going to Meracidia, of course. Unless Tiamat is our reason for going to Meracidia. I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Yeah, it's difficult to figure out. So yeah, these 3 are just off the board right now. Tataru is doing her own business ventures at the moment. I really want her to come back into the story though, but I get that she doesn't need to be because she's exploring her own stuff right now, and until the Scions are reformed, she doesn't really need to be in the main story. Although something could happen, maybe when we're going to Meracidia, she might be interested in expanding her business ventures, so she might actually travel to Meracidia with us. And yeah, she could be a central plot point in there, like having a wealthy, powerful merchant with us could be an asset in Meracidia. She might be the one actually sailing us across with her fleet of ships. I know she doesn't have a fleet of ships, but I think she has a fleet of ships at this point. If we go to Kugane, I guarantee Tataru will be there. Keel, I agree. It's 100% that if we're going to Bukyo, to Hingashi, Tataru will be coming with us, because of all the people in the Scions, Tataru is the only one with authorization to enter Hingashi. Tataru has a permit to travel beyond Kugane into mainland Hingashi to Bukyo, the capital city of Hingashi as well. So she's able to do that. We can't do that yet, but she's able to. So she'll definitely be instrumental to us in actually transporting ourselves there, or even going there herself. But yeah, she'll definitely come back to the storyline for that, back in her kimono. I loved her in her kimono. She loved the kimono. She rocked the kimono very well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I can think of regarding 7.4, 7.5, and 8.0. Unless somebody else has another idea about where 8.0 is going to take us. What was I also talking about? Oh, sorry, yeah. Something that adds to my theory about Emmett's, about the reflections. So, if you remember back to Emmett Selk for a moment, right? So, let me bring up a proper picture of Mr. Emmett Selk. Or maybe I have the clip from Ed Walker, do I? I could probably just look it up on thing, but it's very deep into that other cutscene, so I'd rather not do that, but I want to show the dialogue as well. Let's see, Endwalker. Did I keep that thing around? The answer is no, I didn't, because I'm normal, but yeah, okay. Never mind. I probably have a picture of him, you know. So, let me just put a picture of him itself up and then we'll go from there. So, story characters, Ascians. Where are you? Yeah. Alright. So, Mr. Emmett Selk. As you recall, before we said our goodbye to Emmett Selk on Ultima Thule, he said to us a number of things about different locations. So the first one he mentioned was the bounty. We've already been to the bounty. Have we seen the treasure below the bounty? We already know about that. The golden cities of the New World, which is what drove us to go to Tural, along with Wukulmat. What about the Blind Frost in Nothar's North? Still on the table for us to explore as well. He wouldn't mention Blind Frost if it didn't have something significant, according to him, because he doesn't really care about much. But the fact that he mentions Blind Frost means there's definitely something there. Now, he also mentioned Mericidia, the southern continent. Do you know aught about its present state of affairs? The fact that he's mentioning it means it's not just a wasteland. There's definitely something going on there. And then he mentions the reflections. What is it? Go forth and seek discovery. And then he says, specifically he says, some of the civilizations on the reflections may surprise you. Now think about that for a second. Some of the civilizations on these reflections may surprise you. Now we know now that he was talking about Alexandria on the Ninth Reflection, a technologically advanced civilization that has a grasp of lightning aspected technology that is well ahead of stuff that we have on Eorzea and even Charlian in some aspects. Charlian has access to a comparable, even better technology, to be honest. Like, this all looks very futuristic and stuff like that, but to be fair, we have access to comparable technology thanks to the Elegance. Yes, I've played the original Final Fantasy VII and the other two Final Fantasy VIIs as well. But I want you to think about this for a second, right? So he says some of the civilizations on these reflections may surprise you. So he's saying that in terms of multiple reflections. So he's talking about Alexandria first, of course, but there's other civilizations on these reflections and they may surprise us. Which is why I think one of these reflections, the one we're going to, is a advanced civilization with an emphasis on advanced use of magic. So high fantasy magic, which is what he's saying. Some of these reflections may surprise you because, yeah, they'll definitely surprise us, alright. But yeah, Max, I played all the Final Fantasy VIIs. Even the spin-off games. I played all the spin-off games, actually. I played Crisis Core, Ever Crisis, original Final Fantasy VII like 10 times. New magical DPS in 9.0. No, so for new magical DPS in 8.0, in my opinion. I know we already got one, but I think we're going to get another one. And I think it's difficult to say. I think definitely a caster, given the theme of it. I think we're going to get another caster of some kind. In terms of what class to be added after that, a tank is probably likely. Some sort of traditional knight, similar to the paladin, another character that can use a shield, I think is likely. People bringing up Ultima Theory again is how it's going to be like with Genova and how we travel to the North Pole to find our cradle there. And then the winters could be like Shinra. It's entirely plausible. If you haven't seen my video, Max, I've gone into a lot of theories about how Genova could be a likely enemy in the far future of Final Fantasy. I don't think 8.0, but maybe beyond it. So, I think definitely a Calamity of the Skies. As we venture further beyond our own star, we're definitely going to encounter something similar to Ultima, the High Seraph, and I think it's going to be Genova. So it's, in my opinion, yes, highly likely in the far future, because don't forget, the Heart of Sabik is still on the table. Specifically, it's sitting on the table of a poor unfortunate soul named Claudine, who is essentially holding a plutonium sphere on his desk. I'm not going into it. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I've already expressed my opinion on how utterly fucking stupid it was for the plot to just go, why are you letting him walk off with fucking plutonium? Why? And I've said this a million times. When I saw that cutscene playing out and we gave the Heart of Sabi to Claudine and he walked away with it, I'm like, wait, no, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? We literally saw what happened to the last person who had prolonged fucking exposure to this thing. It's fucking plutonium. Nobody can hold on to that thing without going fucking doolala. Claudine, I can guarantee you, one day, it's going to be a plot point that comes up, but Claudine's going to go off the deep end. And it's going to spill into something else, which is going to involve, more than likely, Genova. So, I'm not going down the rabbit hole. I've already vented about that enough, because that's been a thing for me. Maybe they want to trap it in side quest hell. They could have just locked it in a vault in Sharlayan. Sharlayan has a vault where dangerous stuff is kept. They could have locked it there, but they didn't do anything with it. They gave it to Claudine and he walked away with it. We could have locked that thing in a box and stored it within the forbidden archives of Sharlayan. Case closed. Yeah, they're leaving it on the shelf, essentially, just to, oh yeah, later on it's going to actually come into play. But it's already affecting the poor bastard. He's already mentioned it himself. He's already admitted that he's never been more focused than he is today, because he's been at prolonged exposure to the Heart of Sabik. The 7th theme will probably happen after Rebirth releases, the final chapter. Are we going to get a Final Fantasy theme in the story? Maybe inspirations of it, yes. In terms of full-on crossover, no, we're not going to get a full-on crossover. Most people who play FF14 probably haven't played parts 1 and 2 of Remake and Rebirth. So I'm not even going to say anything right now, because I'm not spoiling anything, because a lot of people haven't played thing yet. So I'm not mentioning it too far, but yeah, we'll probably get some influences. Like, don't forget, like, all the storylines in FF14, or a majority of the storylines that we have experienced, have taken inspiration from the series in one point or another. There hasn't been a single story in the main story and the side story that hasn't taken direct inspiration from the series. Dawn Trail is a prime example. It's taken clear cues and inspiration from Final Fantasy IX. Other expansions have taken inspiration from other series games as well. So, there you go. Like, the last one was just literally the Void storyline took inspirations from Final Fantasy IV. So, there you go. But yeah, in terms of inspiration from 7, yeah, it's likely. It's entirely plausible that we could come across a star in a very similar station to 7. Like, Final Fantasy VII's civilization is... What's the best way to say 7 civilizations? Final Fantasy VII's technology and civilization is steampunk without the steam. That's my best way of saying Final Fantasy VII's technology is, yeah, steampunk without the steam. It's just, instead of steam, it's Mako. So Yeah, it's Mako Punk, essentially. It's steampunk, just instead of steam, it's Mako. So, coming across a reflection that is draining the aether from the planet in order to fuel kind of like steampunk looking devices would actually be a great expansion. Like, would get a... We've never really gotten a steampunk civilization. Like, there's a lot of steampunk elements in Final Fantasy XIV. No heavy ones, though. But it's entirely possible. Like, the steampunk stuff that we have is fueled by aether. So getting an expansion like that or a reflection like that would be cool. Steampunk, cyberpunk, Mako-punk, aetherpunk. Aetherpunk. I'd say it's Etheropunk. It's probably the other one. Oh, my dog's barking now because there's bangers going off. But yeah, I think I've pretty much gone over everything I wanted to go over. So, Retropunk? What would Retropunk be? What's the retro stand for? Well, yeah, a reflection like that could be interesting. Take direct inspiration from 7. So if we think about it for a second, right? Let's think about this for a second, right? So if we think about the entire main story, which games have not been directly referenced in terms of story plot elements? And we'll also include the side story as well. So if we think about Dawn Trail takes references directly from Final Fantasy IX. Endwalker takes references from 4. Then Shadowbringers takes references from 8. Then Stormblood takes references from... I was going to say 6. Kind of. Heaven's Ward doesn't really have many references from the series. Well, it has small references, but it's not full on kind of like taking plot inspiration from the series. And A Realm Reborn is its own thing. So if you think about it for a second, Square Enix did FF14 correctly, where other series that have established IPs have actually made a mistake. So they let Final Fantasy XIV grow on its own, establish its own world with subtle hints and subtle inspiration from the series, but nothing too heavy, because they wanted FF14 to stand on its own 2 legs, and then later they started bringing in more references from the other games and bringing them directly into FF14, inspiring storylines like with Solution 9, which is basically a future version hundreds of years in the future of Final Fantasy IX. Other games that have established series have tried to do something similar, but they've actually did it too far. The best one I can think of is, if you remember, Heroes of the Storm, which is a Blizzard game that was released years ago. So Heroes of the Storm was Blizzard's MOBA, and they made this MOBA as its own unique game, but brought in characters from all of their series IPs. So that was one of the reasons that Heroes of the Storm failed. Heroes of the Storm was entirely propped up by the rest of the IPs. It didn't have an identity of its own. It didn't have its own unique characters or anything else like that. It was requiring prop-ups from the rest of the series. That's why Heroes of the Storm essentially failed. They didn't allow it to grow on its own, to establish its own identity, because its identity was essentially just ripped off from the other games. So that's, I mean, in my opinion, one of the reasons why Heroes of the Storm failed. But Square Enix did it correctly. Instead of just making an MMO and started just literally ripping elements out of the series and just saying, oh look, we have the city of Midgar. Oh look, we have Balam Garden flying through the sky. They did it correctly. They let the game for years and multiple expansions establish its own identity, and then started allowing it to import more elements from the series, because that's what the players were asking for. So, yeah. That's why we're getting more and more direct inspirations from the series in the last few expansions, where the early expansions has just had subtle hints, subtle nods, and subtle little inspirations, but now we're getting direct inspiration from the series games. Blizzard always manages to squander their IPs. Blizzard squanders a lot of things, to be honest. Like, if I think about how much time and effort and lifeblood I poured into World of Warcraft as a child, it makes me cringe, to be honest. Like, I spent countless hours leading guilds, leading raids into the likes of Molten Core, AQ40, freaking doing like 1,000,000 Karazhan runs a week for getting people geared and getting people through other raids. It was just a lot of effort on my part. Like, it was fun, sure, but yeah, that company is just dead to me, in my opinion. That company was dead to me the moment 1.0 came out. I mean, I get some people still enjoy it. I mean, if they're doing the story better, I hope they're doing the story better. I haven't really looked at WoW in a long time. I see its trailers every once in a while. I saw a trailer with a sword sticking out of a desert or something. I think that was the last trailer I saw. I think it was, what was it? Thrall and Anduin and a big sword sticking out of the sand or something. That's the last I saw of it. I just watched the trailer. That's all. I didn't play the game. That company died to me with Heroes of the Storm. I'd say it died for a lot of people with Heroes of the Storm, to be honest. They damaged the lore so bad I can't get back to WoW no matter what. I'm not surprised. The older these games get, the more lore they get, and the harder it becomes to actually keep them properly balanced. Creative Unit 3 is actually hitting that wall now. So you've seen Dawn Trail was actually a step down from its last expansion. But they're running into the issue now is that a new team led anyway, in terms of storytelling, the lore team. They're running into issues now in terms of trying to keep all the lore straight, because the lore is, I've noticed it myself. Primarily because I'm immersing myself in the lore on a daily basis. I'm researching all different aspects of it, and I've seen it myself. Like, it's borderline unraveling at the seams. There's a lot of stuff that's conflicting with each other, and a lot of the stuff they're actually missing. They're missing direct context that the players are calling them out on. So it's becoming a balancing act with them now. I'd say the main thing they've done... I think at the end of Endwalker, they should have moved into a new engine with a new game based on the same world. Well, Keel, that all revolves down to one thing. Money, 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 money. Final Fantasy XIV is their ATM at the moment. So they don't want to do anything to upset anybody. And they've already gone full into making a mobile game for this thing as well. I've never played the mobile game, by the way. As far as I'm aware, the mobile game's lore follows the lore of the main game as well. But I've no need to play the mobile game because I played the main game. So, yeah. I'm assuming its lore just follows ours, right? Yeah, the mobile game's there already as far as I'm aware. I've never played it myself. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think its lore follows the same steps. I think it's more basic and washed, I think. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's out in China, but a lot of people are getting access to it as well. It was mainly developed for China, to be fair, because China is the mobile game capital of the world. So it makes sense why they'd release it in China, because is FF14 in China? I don't think they have access to FF14 servers in China, because it only got recently released in Korea, like a few years ago. I don't think they have access to FF14 in China. When I get to China, I'll check that out. see if they have access. I'll be going to China one day soon, so I'll see if they have access to FF14. That'd be an interesting thing to check. I tried to connect to the servers. Nope. To be fair, people in China don't have access to a lot of stuff outside, so. China server started. Oh, they have. Oh, they're starting from around Reborn. Okay, fair enough. So they only got it recently. Okay, so they still have years to catch up with us. But they'll probably get a patch. They'll get this the Korea treatment, won't they? They'll get faster patch, faster expansion cycles. So they'll catch up to us eventually, similar to how Korea has Korea caught up with us yet. Now that I think about it, I'm fairly certain they've caught up to us by now, right? Let me have a look. I think Korea's on. Yeah, they're 2 patches behind us. I think they're on 7.1 at the moment. But they're going to get the other 2 patches and then they'll be in line with us by the time FanFest rolls around, right? We were all actually thinking in the fan events Discord that there might actually be a 4th FanFest. Or maybe they would have moved one of the FanFests to Korea, considering how seriously they're taking it. But I think they're just going to loop the Korean. Well, the Koreans will just watch the Japanese FanFest, to be honest. And they'll be fully caught up with us by then. So, but yeah, just 3 FanFests for us this time. Our one is in July next year, which I can't wait for. Yeah, that makes sense. For those of you who haven't played other MMOs before, Chinese MMOs that release in China don't share servers with the West or other parts of Asia. So, as Craig just said there, they have FF14 and Around Reborn at the moment, but they don't share servers with us. But that's intentional, because that's what the country of China would have regulated them to do. They said, okay, you can release your game in our region, but you're going to be locked to our region. My primary experience with this, for example, is EVE Online. I have been playing EVE Online for a very long time. I jump in and out of it. EVE Online is played on a single shard. Tranquility is the server. And it's played by everybody around the world with the exception of China. China have their own server called Singularity, and only people in China play that. And to be fair, a lot of them play on that server. We can't access that server as far as I'm aware, and they can't access our servers. So it's similar to other MMOs, which is why a lot of MMOs will get a Chinese release and then later it'll be ported over to the West. The last game I recall, which is actually, as far as I'm aware, still live in China, is called Swords of Legends Online. And that was a game I loved. I loved the combat, I loved the raiding, and I loved the mass PvP of Swords of Legends. It came out in the West and then it got shut down, but it's still live in China. But a lot of MMOs are actually live in China at the moment. It's a very big market over there for MMOs, and particularly mobile games as well. So that's why a lot of games will have 2 versions. So FF14 has 2 versions, EVE Online has 2 versions, and other games will have 2 versions as well. I would still have really liked an FF11 mobile version. Yeah, the mobile version was in development for a long time, but I think they just decided to scrap it in order to make the FF14 version. Because I think they probably just thought, you know what, maybe people wouldn't be as interested in playing 11 as they would be playing a mobile version of 14, so they just decided to do that. So they'll get a bump in numbers again, guaranteed, the moment that the mobile version of 14 comes available. But you're not wrong, Zikanda. I wanted to play the 11 mobile game as well. I was looking forward to that. But is what it is. Right. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through, and I'm getting hungry now. So I'm wondering now if I should just have something to eat. I'm also out of water. So is there anything else now that I haven't thought about before we just call it a night? So I've already gone through Emmett's Selk. I've already gone through the story. And we're just rambling around random things right now, aren't we? So we've completely gone off track now in terms of the story. So just to recap, I'd say. So my opinion for the recap is that 8.0 will be a heavily magical fantasy kind of reflection world that we're going to. And 7.4, 7.5 will involve the study of the key, us going to the South Sea Isles via a dungeon in order to get information, and will lead over to an activation of a portal between our reflection and, well, the source and the new reflection, and it'll all spill out from there. And I think 8.0 again will be in two parts. Part 1 will us be exploring this new reflection, helping out the people there and helping to restore their world from some cataclysm. And then part 2 will be facing off against Calyx and his peers, whoever or whatever they are. But yeah, there we go. I still have to do this. I'm still dying to do this. I'm not going to do this on stream though. I'll do this, and I'll probably do this on another stream maybe. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I think I'll just call it there, unless anybody else has any other questions or things I want to go through. Oh, next patch is 7.4 will be Arcadian as well, won't it? I just remembered. So 7.4 will give us the conclusion of the Arcadian storyline. And I'm still of the opinion that freaking Lalafell announcer is still the president. I still think it's him. So I'm still putting all my money on him being the culprit. But yeah, in terms of my next videos coming out, I'm working on the script for my next video now at the moment. I was working on a different video entirely. I decided to scrap it, and I'm starting to put out a few shorts as well. I haven't released shorts in a long time, so I'm starting to put out shorts based on magical disciplines in FF14. I ended up liking that storyline a lot more than I thought when they announced the premise. You're not wrong, Sekenda. A lot of people actually did enjoy the plot of the Arcadian storyline. I really enjoyed it. It continued on, in my opinion, from what the main story actually missed out on, which is the side effects of beast soul transformations. Do you guys want me to show you the OO again? Do you want to see the OO again? I say a bunch of you have probably erased this from your memories now at this point. Do you want to see it again? So this thing catches my eye. You've probably seen it already. I've probably already shown you this before, but it catches my eye whenever I walk over here. So let me walk over a bit. So let me walk. 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 Did you see it? Did you see it? It's literally right in front of us. Did you see it? There, I just walked over it again. Did you see it? So, if this stuff triggers you, I recommend you look away now. So, look at that. It's so triggering. It's just so bad. I remember the first day I saw it and I was like, ew, that is just nasty. It just breaks your immersion, doesn't it? Like, this would have been perfect, and then there's that. Ugh. I'm sorry. If you didn't know about this, I'm really sorry. But Namingway likes it. You agree, my little guy? Yeah. My life is ruined. I know, it's bad. To be fair, it's the only one I found. I actually looked everywhere to see if there was any more like this. But there actually was... I didn't find any more, to be honest. I looked around everywhere, but this is the only one. And I think I should probably put it on the suggestion forums, you know that? I think I'll probably take a screenshot of it and just say, look at this texture, can you fix it please? Because it's literally triggering everybody. So... I could probably do that now, just before we finish the stream, you know that? Where's the suggestion forum again? Hey, better to live knowing the harsh truth than to live a pleasant lie. Where's the suggestion forum? I haven't used it in years. Feedback. Feedback, website, companion apps, website bugs. There's no feedback for the... Maybe it's not feedback. Maybe it's general? No. I'm still enjoying the relic step. Let us use PvP kits and PvP. Oh god. Yeah, I forgot how much this thing was crazy. I could have sworn there was a freaking bug. It's probably bug reports, is it? I thought it was just like a recommendation. Like I think it is just feedback. Companion apps, feedbacks, website feedback and suggestion. Yeah, website feedbacks and suggestions. Yeah, suggestion. A gold saucer expansion. Yeah, everybody wants Blitzball. To be fair, like, show of hands, who wants Blitzball? Blitzball. I want Blitzball. Oh, I'm not logged in. Give me a second. Let me log in. Let me log in. Yeah, I'll put this on the suggestion forum just to see if they fix it, right? To be fair now, to be perfectly fair to Square Enix, they're actually very good at fixing stuff like this and actually looking at the feedback. Why is this thing doing something? Easy to do. Come on, load. Load! Yo, Johnny, welcome back. I think we're nearly finished. I'm just doing a suggestion on the forum. Oh, God. For a second there, I was like, why is it in Japanese? Okay. Let's see. Feedback. Feedback. Golden Saucer. Scion. Golden Saucer expansion. I'm assuming that's suggestion in a different language, do you think? Scion? Hang on. Or just, probably just misspelled. Okay, so, hang on. What would I call this? Yeah, fix the graphic alignment error in Series 9. There is a pathway in front of Cadian where the path tiles do not match up correctly. Any This can be fixed. It ruins our immersion. It ruins our... I can't spell immersion probably. It ruins our immersion. Can I put images in here? I'm assuming I can put images. Yeah, I can. Okay, so let me take a proper screenshot of this, right? So I need to put myself there. So yeah, so immersion. Yeah, sorry. What's the G-pose? Yeah, that's probably the easier way to do it. So I'll take a, yeah, I'll do a snip. Yeah, so snip and highlight. Yeah, I'm assuming I can save that and then just call it screenshot. Okay, so all right, let's see if I can upload that. Yeah, sorry, Zakenda. I speak Irish. Immersion. Immersion's never... Oh, short coordinates as well. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll put the coordinates as well. That's a good point, yeah, because... right, so... 19, 15, 21, yeah, so... Let me write that here. Yeah. So... It's X... Oh god, I can't see it when I'm not tapped in. X 19.5 19.5 and Y 21. Yeah. Okay. I'll be interested to see if they fix this, to be honest. I'll be very interested. I'll be very, very interested to see if they fix it. Oh, I cut that by mistake. Yeah. Oh, I have to do it on the URL. Okay. Hang on. I still have an immature account, can't I? Yeah, I do. Okay. Let me post an image, or just add an image. These images last a while, I think. So let me just choose the screenshot I just took. Or where did I save that? Crap, where did I save that? Crap, did I even save that? Shit. Oh, there it is. Oh, no. Okay. Alright, copy image link. Alright. There we go. So, we get them the image link as well. Ugh. Oh. That better be right, isn't it? Right? Frickin'. Yeah. Open the image. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Frickin' image grr. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. I want to see if they fix that, because I'll be happy if they do, to be honest. It's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to trigger a lot of people. A lot of people are just going to come here looking at, oh, what's this? And it's like, no. Oh. Ah, it's funny though. I like that. I was going to write something funny there, but you know what? I'm not going to be... I have 116 posts. I'm assuming that means replies as well, right? Does it? What have I posted about over the years? I'm actually interested. I don't really remember what I posted on here. Right, so to be honest, I haven't browsed the official forum in a long time. Let's have a look at the other feedback, right? Let's have a look at the other feedback for a second. So I want to see what people are saying. I want to see what people are suggesting. So suggestion: allow EXP gain at max level to be useful. Let me change the music for a second, because as much as I love that, you've been listening to that for like 2 hours now. Right, let's have a look at the suggestions before we sign off for tonight, right? So this is fun. Let's have a look. Allow EXP gain at max level to be useful. It is useful. You pool it up and then you use it for your other jobs. What do you mean it's not useful? It is useful. My favorite thing to do in the game is leveling. I love feelings. It's doing something useful already. I don't know what they're on about. I create the Buccaneer class that uses the cutlass in... Eorzi and Historian, how are you? But don't forget, it's the Cannoneer now. We got confirmation during the event of the Rising. We know what the job's called now. So, if you missed that on my last stream, actually, let me confirm that with you for a second. So, we got this in the Rising event, because we were joined by a member of the Yellow Jackets, and she called herself a Cannoneer, and she was wielding a pistol and all. So we got official confirmation that it's called the Cannoneer now. So I was really happy about that, to be honest. Maybe a subtle hint or something that we're gonna get a Cannoneer. I wouldn't mind a Cannoneer. Another ranged DPS, we're definitely overdue, like a physical range. I think it would be cool. Yeah, it refers to the Musketeers, but we all thought it was called the Musketeers, but they officially confirmed it there as being Cannoneer, which is, it's funny. I enjoyed that. Right, back to the suggestions. Right, so item level sync in older content. Oh no, they always do this. This is always suggested, isn't it? I've played FF14 for about 3.5 years now, and you're new. I have noticed a pattern during my playing of this game, which seems to detrimental to the experience new players receive. For all two decent party matches, max level players are synced to is the highest level for the level of particular expansion. While this changes nothing for the content, yeah, so essentially what Ben is talking about here is that the higher the eye level goes, even when you're max capped at eye levels, that content is a breeze to travel through. Like, primals die far too easily, and everything else dies far too easily. I've mentioned this a number of times already. Like, one of my biggest gripes is the fact that Labyrinth of the Ancients, for example, a infamous alliance raid that people use for just dailies in order to grind experience on their alts, is far too easy. And every expansion that we go into, Labyrinth of the Ancients gets faster and faster and faster and faster. So every expansion that comes on, the time that it takes to clear Labyrinth of the Ancients decreases, because the things are dying so damn quickly. So we got kind of a solution to that with what was the new mode called where we faced Clouds of Darkness? It wasn't extreme, it was whatever it was. That was an amazing fight. But the point is, a lot of content is getting easier and easier because the eye levels just keep increasing, but it's the power levels of the jobs keep increasing with reworks and patches and stuff like that. So I can get what he's talking about. It's just, it's a very difficult thing to fix. So I appreciate that suggestion, to be honest, but it's a very hard thing to fix, and they haven't been able to properly solve it yet. Chaotic, that's the one. Chaotic was amazing. I loved that Chaotic fight. It was so good. I really enjoyed that. I only did it once. Well, I did it multiple times, but I only cleared it once. I only really wanted to clear it once, but it was really good. Scion, a Golden Saucer expansion, right? I'm taking bets here. How much do you want to bet Blitzball is in here, right? I'm going to call it. There's going to be a Blitzball. He's going to say Blitzball, right? There, Blitzball. Blitzball. That's everybody who suggests a change to Gold Saucer suggests Blitzball. And to be fair, I understand why. Blitzball is extremely popular. And one day we're going to get it. I imagine when we get an expansion with a bunch of influence from Final Fantasy X is when we're going to get Blitzball. So I look forward to that day. Suggestion: bike gear bodysuit. That's a good idea. So since we have motorcycle mounts lately, it would be cool to have a full body motorcycle gear as crafting armor set. Do you mean gear that turns you into a motorcycle? I can get what he's asking. As a motorcycle rider myself, I fully endorse this suggestion. However, we do have armor that is very similar to motorcycle armor. So we have this already, technically. So it's a good suggestion, but we already kind of have this. We have armor that's similar to motorcycle armor. Level 69 warrior. Nice. Ishgard done. MSQ only gives 5 pounds of FP. Sorry, I am... Oh, Jesus Christ. Give me strength. Hi, I played FF14 version 1 when it came out, but stopped when my friends moved on. Recently, I played an RPG Maker game inspired by FF11. I started with a warrior because I like Limsa and Bush Tree Cities. A story sort of played at the end of AOR. It took me 3 days of waiting for raids to happen. Cheat it. Red Mage. What is this? Honestly, I'm not even gonna read that. That just screams of yeah. I was wondering if there would be an option to... Oh, for fuck's sake. Jesus. No, they're never gonna add romance into the game. I know people want this. I really do. But it adds too many unstable elements and it would cause camps to form on both sides. And it would be fucking murder. They're never going to do this. I'm sorry. You want a romance to work with that. It's good for you. But they're not going to add romance options. As much as people would love it. I mean, if they put romance options in for Scions, for example, my character would literally run and marry Kryl right away. So, yeah. But it's never going to happen. as much as some of us like it. Tales from the audio booth. That's a good idea. If you put the Tales books in audio, like audio format, that would be great. Do you know what? Maybe I'll do that. What do you think? Would you be interested? Like, I want to see, right? I want to see a show of hands. I'm probably going to give Eorzi and Historian an idea now. Make audio books of the Tales. Eorzi and Historian, are you going to do that? If you do that, if you don't do it, I'll do it. So, there's an idea. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe that will be our collaboration, Historian. Maybe we'll collab and do an audio recording. Maybe that's something to think about one day. Alright, so interactive map via companion app. I used to use the companion app a while ago, but to be fair, we have Discord and we have everything else, so it doesn't really have a use for me, to be honest. It's a nice idea, but our map is not very detailed in game, so getting it in the companion app without having a detailed map in game, I mean, our map at the moment is very limited. Like, you can have locations you can tap on, and it gives you these things. Like, it's nice, but it's not very interactive. I would prefer a bit more detail, but it's a nice idea, but I just don't use the companion app that much. Make facial expressions cyclable like idle poses. Somebody said this in my last stream as well, that they need to rework the expressions of our characters. So our characters, they filter through a number of expressions, like nodding your head or very limited. They need to expand that in upcoming expansions. We need more character expression. They dabbled a lot with it, as I said in my last stream. They dabbled a lot with it in Shadowbringers, of us picking up the cup and drinking the cup and stuff like that. That was amazing stuff. They need to just continue expanding upon that. I know the game engine has limits, but they've already shown that they can break the limits or stress the limits. So, give us more. 3 ideas for the main game. Let's have a look at this one. So, I'd love to hear people's ideas. First point is the issues in terms the term filter have, and what can be done to help. What do you mean? Why is there a minimum character limit? Because you don't want people with names going. Do you know how many things would be filtered out if I could put 18 plus in the term filter? Or are they talking about? Okay. The second point is the series milestones. Why is there a repeatable reward 20,000 points to get? That's a PvP thing. Okay. Where and how many times have we completed the repeatable tasks and make it harder to keep going, but gives people a way to get more trophy? That's my third idea. We'll post in the third comments. Okay. So my third and final point is for the FF14 store. Credits to Xeno6Vex for some of these ideas. Yeah. Sorry for that weird thing. I don't really. I know who Xeno6Vex is. He's a big FF14 raider or personality as far as I'm aware. I saw him at FanFest as well. I'd never had a really positive reaction with him. I remember doing a sale raid with him in Heaven's Ward, and I didn't like his attitude. So that's just my bias. I've never talked to the guy, to be perfectly honest. I was in that raid with him, but that was it. I wasn't buying the run, but I was helping to sell it. But yeah. Make non-consumables account wide. Yeah, they're okay, but yeah. Fixing game backwards. PSV memory limitations. PS4 memory limitations. Why is this site so slow? Oh my god. Is this like hosted in Japan or something? Suggestions about title screens and cinematics. You know it's bad when they can't spell cinematics. Suggestion 1. In FF14, often not people miss the cinematics which can show very cool moments and get some hype for the game and expansion. Famous solution is when you beat the patch quest or go to accept, talk to the MC in person before it appears. To accept the quest and click start the expansion with a very simple quest for Heaven's Ward. Not the first thing that pop up after you want to view something. I don't mind that actually, to be honest. That's a nice idea. Before you actually start playing the patch, it would give you a trailer of the patch. That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. Free trial players should be able to view and change title screens like paid people. To be fair, they have YouTube. I don't really see the need for that. It's not a bad change though. So far, it's half and half in terms of like good suggestions and just like where are you going with this? Materia loadout. Remember when materia was a lot more detailed? Like back a long time ago, you had resistance materia and stuff like that, like elemental resistance materia and stuff like that. Like you went into coil with elemental resistance materia and stuff like that. Rework a friend list and add-ons for blacklist. I suppose. I have one definite. Right, before I continue, here's my definite suggestion. So, my main gripe, and I've actually written this, every FanFest I've gone to, I've written this on a feedback or a question card to hopefully get read out. But it never happened. But I write this, every time I go to FanFest, I write this. So, I'm not actually a member of a link shell right now. Okay, fair enough. But the point is, the link shells are one of the primary communication mediums we have in terms of communication between specialized groups or like hunt groups, for example. But their functionality and management is very limited. So hunt link shells are a great example. You have people join a hunt link shell, but the only information that they'll tell you is that their name, if they're online, and what world they're currently on. It doesn't tell you when they were last online, for example. Like similar to, like if you look at the FC list. An FC list will tell you when people were last online. So if link shells had this, they would be much easier to manage. So link shells don't have that right now, but that's the change I always ask for at FanFest. Whenever they ask for suggestions and write them on a comment card to be read out, I say, add a feature to link shells that allows us to see when a person was last online, similar to free companies. It would make link shells so much freaking easier to manage. Help, I love the Sailor Moon ranks. Yeah, my FC does that. Yeah, so so I'm Sailor Mercury. The top ones are Sailor Moon. I think this is the odd one out, but yeah, a lot of FCs tend to do that. They tend to do they tend to do Sailor Moon ranks as well. Like, you'll always find an I think most servers will have an FC based on Sailor Moon, just like every server has an FC called Balam Garden or something. There's always a Garden FC on every server. Right, so GM... Oh my god, here we go. Alright, I want to see this. I'm dying to see this. I was contacted today by GM Reen Merrill regarding a report I made recently. Took my report very seriously, communicated clearly, replied swiftly. I came out of the conversation with research. I'm assuming they didn't get sent a how did we do? The GMs are supposed to send a follow-up to say, like, will you fill out the survey? But I like that. It's positive reinforcement. Yes, I don't mind that. That's good. How to turn off summoner eggies during battle in every aspect. You can't. They're entities that belong in your game. They need to be actually seen. If they were interactable, that would be amazing. Like, if you haven't played 2.0, but if you recall, during turn 5 in the fight against Twintanya's AoE blast, where everybody had to stack up, the Eggies and the fairies counted as a person. So you could actually have one less person stacked and you could still soak up the entire AoE. It was great. I always loved doing that. I played that as a summoner as well. And I'd always put my Eggie into the stack and it would absorb parts of the impact. It was great. But yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, hiding them is not going to work though. They need to be positioned. Why not let all enabled hats for Vieira let the ears be visible? Ugh. I can see why some people would be still pissed off about that, because I mean, I don't mind Vieira at all. I mean, I'm a Lalafell guy. I mean, I'll never not be a Lalafell, but I can get why people like the Vieira. But they really shot themselves in the foot by adding them to the game. Like, I remember before Vieira were added, I was like, they're never going to add Vieiras to the game because most hats don't work with Vieira. And to be honest, right now, most hats don't work with Vieira. But it's just now, they shot themselves in the foot. I've said this a number of times, but it limits, because they have now to account for the Vieira. They limit the types of hats they can create for other races. So the hats that you get in the last few years since Vieira were added are mostly topless that allow ears to protrude. Or if they end up making a full helmet, the Vieira ears don't appear. So they did shoot themselves in the foot in that regard. I knew it was going to happen, but... Oh my, that's a great, like, feedback for GM, feedback. There's a lot of feedback for GMs, yeah. Fate Grand Order crossover. Oh god, this is not Phantasy Star Online 2, ladies and gentlemen. Although, see, crossovers are tricky. I mean, it's not too implausible why they think about this, because we got a Monster Hunter crossover. We got 2. There's another one coming. We've got 2 Monster Hunter crossovers, but certain ones just don't cross over. There's other games that do it very well. Phantasy Star Online 2 and the other Phantasy Star Online do crossovers very well. So they're games you can go to for crossovers. Discussing the greeting pricing on latest cash shop items. Right, what are they all about now? I don't really buy stuff from the cash shop, to be honest. I give Square enough of my money each month. I've always been subbed. I've never not been subbed to FF14. The amount of money I've given that company is enough. I'm not buying their items. The only item I've really bought recently, I think the last item I bought from the cash shop was my Spriggan mount. I think that was the last thing I bought because I love the Spriggan cap. That's the only reason. I understand that people still want to be able to purchase items on a set separately. I really do. But 18 each for a pair of shirt and pants. Yeah, if you think about that, like it's £18 or $18 for a shirt and pants. You could buy a shirt and pants in the store in a shop for less than that. So, yeah, think about that for a second. It's not good. Data center travel from Oceania. They already have that, don't they? Sid and Dawn Trail. Is it possible to add Sid? Sid's gonna show up, I'd say, from Mare City. Do you know that? I'd say if we're going to Mare City, we're going by airship. So Sid's gonna take us to Mare City on the Excelsior, or we'll take the Taro ship and Sid will come along either with the Excelsior, or maybe he'll fly our ship, the Bonanza. We haven't seen the Bonanza in a long time, if you think about that. It's a Scion ship after all, so. Yestola and Thancred Moodish hair for Vieira. Fair. Good think about that. Quality of life. I love quality of life. Right, let's see what the quality of life here is. Crossbar updates. Allow the option to remove or override the auto run and the cycle hopper buttons. I don't play on a controller, so I can't really venture, but I think it does need some help. Later expansions have level syncing side quests, but the experience gained is usually pretty awful. I could see what they mean by that. New Game Plus. An alternative or addition to the above would be granting experience to jobs not at maximum level when doing New Game Plus. I'd love this. If they did this, I would really like that. I would really like that. As somebody who spends a very absorbent amount of time in New Game Plus for research purposes, I would really, really, really like this. It's something that's well overdue. The new player experience needs to be, yeah. So, story skip exists, but is imperfect. Yeah, definitely. They shouldn't be story skipping anyway. That's heresy to story skip. Who's story skips? That's heresy. I suggest new players are started in Dawn Trail by default if they have it. Yeah, you've lost me there. Like, sorry. No. No. They wouldn't have a freaking clue if they started in Dawn Trail. How are they going to start in Dawn Trail at level 1? That's a level 90. Yeah. It's not going to work, sorry. Matoya's Hab and Street Cap for yeah. Again, it's the Vieira stuff. Like, there's a lot of hats that don't. Like, I couldn't play a Vieira for one reason. My hat doesn't work for Vieira. So, yeah, that rules them out for me. Stellar Missiles, Fishing. Options to disable Boss, Fate, background music, and... I could see what they mean by that. Yeah, if they just wanted to hear the music of the zone. That's a fair suggestion. Right, I think I'm gonna finish up here because my throat is getting very dry and I am very hungry. I think I'll just look up a couple of more things. Historic Tales, revive all the content and increase activities. Yeah, everybody always has this suggestion. My English isn't the best, so I'm using ChatGPT. Oh Jesus, H wept. Okay. Once a week, players get a Historic Tales book, like Wondrous Tales. Unlocks a daily Historic Roulette, available after unlocking Historic Tales. To be fair, the new Phantom weapon has essentially done this, hasn't it? It incentivizes you to go through older content, doesn't it? Each day, one random synced extreme hard trial is exactly this. Clearing it the first time of the day earns one sticker. I don't mind that, actually. I like where they're going, because I'm somebody who definitely emphasizes that older content is getting left by the wayside. And it could definitely use a bit of incentive to keep doing it. So, I wouldn't mind a Historic Tales book. Yeah. I don't mind that. I don't mind that change at all. Yeah, despite the fact that your picture looks like a guy with 2 belly buttons. Ding, 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 ding. Glamour change. Head bandage. It's fair. Head bandage? Yeah, okay. I'm not much for headgear because I don't change my helmet, but I don't want to pay full price for Mog steak and costume. Nobody's asking you to buy anything from the bloody thing. I'm assuming this is somebody who wants one piece of a costume. Which, fair, I guess, if you could buy individual pieces. But they want you to buy it all, so. Full-size versions of some mounts is indoor furnishing. Yeah, I guess. Add a mute button setting on chat box. Did we get the chat bubbles yet? I remember them saying chat bubbles were coming. Did we get chat bubbles yet? I want to go to where everybody's talking. No, I don't think we got chat bubbles yet, did we? Unless it's just off by default. Did we get chat bubbles? Hang on. Did we get chat bubbles? Oh, so hang on. So system character configuration log window set. Oh, okay. Hang on. So character configuration. Log window settings. Chat bubble settings. Oh, so it's not for. It's not for. Oh, hi. Oh, it is. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay. I just completely forgot about that, to be honest. Right, let me see if somebody starts talking. Oh, yeah. But why is everything suddenly lagging with it? Holy shit. My game started lagging extremely the moment I turned that on. I mean, I know it's busy around here, but fuck me, is my game lagging with it? Oh, it's nice though. I'll leave that on for a while. But yeah, I noticed a lag spike when I did that. Maybe it's just because there's everybody here. Camping tent. Oh, need to fix this so rain doesn't come through the camping tent. Oh, your immersion is broken. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That's a good suggestion, but yeah. Hide for. Yeah. This forum technology is very old. Like, you can see how old this forum looks. It's based upon an older coding software, so you can hide them as far as I'm aware. Yeah, you can definitely do that, but I don't think it's something they want to do. To be fair, they haven't changed this forum since the game launched, so I think they imported it from one system to the other at one point, but that was it. The game used a way too old version of DLSS. Oh, we're back to like January now, aren't we? Yeah, I suppose we've gone too far back now at this point. Let me go back to first, just to see if there's anything I missed, and then we'll call it a night. Please prioritize Blue Sky the same as or more so than X on official. I don't use Blue Sky. To be fair, I made a Blue Sky account the moment it came out, and I tried doing a few posts, but then I realized that social media feels like a second job, and I just abandoned it. My personal suggestion is to fully integrate a version of the Crystal Tower story into the MSQ, since it is so important. I think the patch work they do now feels so weird to me. It doesn't matter to me, but it's in my mind at times. Yeah, to be fair, like when they released Shadowbringers, they made Crystal Tower a requirement. So if you hadn't played Crystal Tower, for example, they made Crystal Tower a requirement before you could actually play Shadowbringers. And as far as I'm aware, that restriction is still in place. So if you wanted to play Shadowbringers, or if you finish Stormblood and then you're playing Shadowbringers, it would send you, or it would say that you need to play the Crystal Tower Alliance raid first. I think. It's fairly certain that's the way. Somebody's drawing their weapon. Nah! Stop it! It's in my ear. Go away. This is why I don't stand around here. One day I'll be a very popular streamer and people will be following me around. Oh god. That'll be hell on earth. I don't mind one or two people following me around, you know that, but imagine being one of these big streamers who, with everybody following you around. I'd never be able to have any peace. Although now you're all gonna follow me around now, aren't you? Never mind. Forget I said anything. Let's reverse back. The last minute didn't exist. Okay. Do I want to click on this? Fuck it. Right, we're gonna finish off on a low note. Do you know that? Alright, let me tell you a story. It's not a bad story. Or is it? Is it a bad story? I think it's a bad story. No, it's not a bad story. When I was playing 2.0, there was a guy in my FC, and this was my first experience with erotic roleplay. It was a guy in my FC wrote erotic roleplay, and I remember one night we were raiding, I believe we were doing Savage Second Coil of Bahamut, if I recall correctly, and we were getting pretty annoyed with wiping a million times on Melazine, so I think we started spicing things up by reading this erotic roleplay in TeamSpeak. So I had to read it out loud to the raid, and I can remember how cringe it was. Oh, I still remember it like it was fucking yesterday. It was about Mikote with tails wrapping around each other and tails going... I mean, I can't say it, but you can get where I'm going with this, right? With tails wrapping around and going... Oh god, it was a bad night. We laughed, to be fair. We laughed, but the fact that I had to read that fucking thing out... I mean, I get it. Like, there's a lot of people who like that content. I get it. Like, to be fair, every popular series and every unpopular series has an erotic side to it. So there's a community behind it, and I get that. It's just never appealed to me. But I get it that it appeals to some people. Like, I know some of my friends are into erotic roleplay and stuff like that. It's just I've just never been interested in it. So yeah, that's funny story. I'm gonna click on this. Right? I'm gonna click on it. Oh, it's only one line. Okay. I love her a lot. She may have flaws, but she's a sweet girl and a brave one to boot. If enough time spent with her, then tell the PC she has feelings for him. You could either turn her down, tell her to say there would be quests, and take her out on dates. I mean, fair. Wait. Level 73 Gladiator. The fuck? 73 Gladiator. Oh, roleplay. Okay. Yeah. It's never gonna happen, but you have erotic roleplay to feed this. So, people can have their romance. What do you mean hide the Lalafels? Oh god, no. I don't want to read erotic roleplay with Lalafels, please. No. No, never. I'm assuming somebody's done this already. Did you know that? Hang on. I'm gonna assume somebody's already done this. Let me look this up on YouTube for a second. So, Tales story audio. Yeah, some people have already done it. Yeah, I expected that, to be honest. Some people have already done it. So there's other people. I don't recognize any of them, but to be fair, I don't know any of the content creators in this game. As I've already said, I keep myself intentionally in the bubble. The only content creator I know is Eorzean Historian, because we had that unfortunate crossover. But yeah, I try not to read other people's content, or try not to watch it rather, because it skews my own thinking. Demiyama needs an exchange system. I agree with that. Like, look at this. I've fucking loads of I've too many of some of these. Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be done. Rework Foundation add-ons for Blacklist. Do I have anybody in my blacklist? That's a good question. No, my blacklist is empty. Yeah, I'm a good boy. I don't blacklist anybody. I'm a good boy. I talk to everybody. I like cool questions. I like exploration content. Please keep exploration content. Yeah, Occult Crescent was it had its good, but it's extraordinarily bad. Precision to change music of zone. Do you know what I remember? I remember when I played WoW, they had an add-on for changing the zone music until Blizzard banned it, as I recall. I remember in... what's the Northrend expansion called again? Wrath of the Lich King? Flying through the Storm Peaks, and music for Ghost in the Shell Season 2 was playing. So I remember that. What are you talking about? It already does that. Please make it so that if all 4 people have seen the cutscenes, then they get skipped. Most of the time it's 4 veterans doing a roulette for tombstones. Oh boy, somebody hasn't told this person about this, has they? For context, you can... I think it's toggled off by default, but you can always watch the cutscene if you want. So it's just a setting that they have, so... people want to watch the cut, you can toggle it, yeah. Is this just... dare I say it? Is it possible they have it toggled on? That they're watching the cutscene every time? Because... or somebody else in their party had it toggled on. But that's just a... to be fair, I've never seen any... I'll be honest. I cannot remember ever seeing anybody in the dungeon watching a cutscene if they've already been in the dungeon. Because I've gone into dungeons where everybody has already been in it, but they didn't see the cutscene. To be honest, from memory, I've never seen it. Everybody turns it on by default to never see the cutscene again. Living memory. Where's the light switch? Oh, this was made a couple of months ago. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Typo and 7.3 special site. Alright, I think we're done. I don't think there's anything else. Unless there's another part of this forum that I haven't seen before. Localization. Recurring inaccuracy in Mikote lore in seasonal quests. The lore for most Mikote clans establishes usual formats for their family relations. Seekers have their large tribes with a nun and many women who are some degree of descendants of each other, thus the children, keeper, families, are mother and TLDR. The seekers are patriarchal and the keepers are matriarchal. Living in small communities, yeah. And yet, against this backdrop of usual family concepts, Rikiki and Mikite characters talk about their parents, tending towards tragic backstory that their parents died. Rifultia doesn't have a father and needs to support his mother and sister. Well, somebody gave birth to him and a sister, so just because it's a patriarchal society doesn't mean... I mean, there's still... yeah, so that one doesn't matter. Kibi Jari took on the role of looking after her younger brother after their parents passed away. Parents die. Still have children. They're not going to abandon them just for that. But yeah, I can get what they mean. They have an entire family unit around them, so I can get that one. Yeah. Name talks about how Badron took her in after her parents died. That's not her backstory. That's not her backstory. I know this character. Her team died in the Calamity. That one's wrong. Her team died in the Calamity. And she ended up just drinking outside. That's how Badron took her in, so that one's incorrect. Richter was orphaned in the Calamity and ended up at an orphanage store specifically run by a Hurrian friend of her mother's. Mothers can have friends. I can get where they're going, but the options they gave didn't really make sense to me. Anything interesting here? Inconsistency use of plus symbol. Typo and no sin unpunished. Oh, this is all about typos and stuff. Limits on restoring the limits characters. FC housing. Wrong number of 723 soldiers, wrong number of digits. During the new MSQ quest, preservation their purpose, when interacting with the number pad, a sentence explains that we can input up to 5 digits and confirm our attempt. I don't remember that. Interesting. Trick attack. Okay. Number of pre and finish down slashes of guild instead of guild. That's a good catch actually. Typos and patch notes. Yeah. Stats. Stars are not planets. What do you mean by that? Because of the upcoming new cosmic exploration, it is more important now than ever that you find and replace all the instances of star when used to refer to a planet. You can let Argyonje do it, as it is a character for all to do it. To be fair, honestly, I can see where they're going with this, actually. Because, yeah, we are venturing out more and more to other stars. But stars are not planets. She's right about this. So, yeah, correct. This is something that actually does need to be changed. And think about the retcons that have already happened. Our world was always called Hydaelyn until Endwalker, when Hydaelyn became a central character to the story. So we couldn't call the star Hydaelyn and have the character of Hydaelyn, because it would just make people confused. Which is why the name of Aetheris came into play. And the retcon happened even without us noticing, because when we were on the moon and we started talking about our planet, they all just started calling it Aetheris, and Urianger was the one who led the charge in that. He just started calling it Aetheris, and then everybody just started calling it Aetheris, and then ever since then we never called it Hydaelyn again, we just called it Aetheris. So I feel like they could just do this again. Instead of just calling it stars, they'll just call them planets. To be fair, I've never heard the term planet ever mentioned, because they just call it stars. So they could do that. That's definitely something they could do, and it makes sense, because it's never something I fully agreed with either. So yeah, it's common in Japanese entertainment apparently. Actually, that's a good point. In Japanese, do they call it planets or stars? I'll have to look that up. Well, yeah, I like that change. Maybe that's an English translation thing they need to do. Do you know what? My throat is really hurting me now. So I think I'm going to stop there. So, everybody, I appreciate you turning up tonight. I hope you got something out of my theories. And I hope it gave you theories of your own. But we have a long time to explore ideas now. I think we have another, what, 2.5 months until 7.4. I think we get it in December, right? Just about. So, looking forward to that. But anyway, everybody go enjoy your weekends, and I'll catch you later. I think I'll go watch Pokemon now. I missed the tournaments this morning, so I still feel like this is making me lag. I'm gonna turn her off for a second. I want to test this now just before I go. I just want to see if this is making me lag or not, because I feel like it's making me lag. Yeah, my game is smoother without them. They're not even showing, but my game is instantly smoother without that turned on. Maybe I'll try it in a less populated area. Anyway, good night.